Good afternoon and welcome, everybody. This would be the Jeff Cameron Show right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Great to be with you. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. I'm Jeff. That's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free always. Don't miss anything, but if you do, remember, we'll post all 3 hours upon the conclusion of the program, both to iTunes and in our own audio vault. You can always email the show if you like as well, jcs@979espnradio.com. Follow me on Twitter, if you will, @JCameronShow. WTSM app works for your mobile devices. You can hear the show that way. If you're having problems with Tropos or anything like that, or you can't stream the show in your office, you can use WTSM app. To watch the show being performed, go to YouTube and type in ESPN Tallahassee. You'll find us. Hello, YouTubers. And for those wanting to Periscope the program, you can do that on Twitter @979 ESPN Radio. How are you, Tommy?
I'm hanging in there, man. You know,
okay, buddy?
A little disappointed from the weekend.
Yeah. Lightning are getting boat raced. It's I think it's easier. No, it's not. It's not anything that is fun to stomach, but it's easier when the games aren't close. When you don't deserve to win. It's hard when you lose a game where maybe you outperform a team and things just don't go your way, or there's a bad bounce or a weird ricochet or something strange happens, or you're the better team 5-on-5 and then, you know, commit a couple of questionable penalties and they score in the power play and you lose the game by 1. Those are all tough losses. Washington is just kicking Tampa's ass across the board right now, and so I can go, well, not good, but may want to show up to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, that's all true. They're kicking our ass, but it's a little disheartening when you feel like you had a blueprint and you've completely abandoned the blueprint. It's very much a Tampa Bay Lightning issue that's been annoying me for the past few years. Anyway,
yeah.
You know,
hey,
I get it. It's a lead on Monday, so whatever.
That's all right. Celtics beat Cleveland, and I was excited about that. Thought it was going to happen, and it did. I may or may not have performed as Big Daddy J would want me to in that situation, and way to go, Celts. That's a series, folks. That's going to be a good series. You got a guy that can really coach against one of the all-time great players in LeBron James, who has to do the coaching for his team, because certainly, at least when it comes to game ones, Tyronn Lue isn't doing it.
Hot damn, Big Daddy's done it again.
Yeah. It is remarkable to think about this, though. You know, if you look at little things inside the series, and it's game 1, the Boston had the least efficient offense of the 4 remaining teams in the playoffs, but they're the only one of the 4 remaining teams that have scored more points per 100 possessions, than they did in the regular season. So they're outperforming everything they did, and they're doing that without Kyrie and without Gordon Hayward. Now, they had to do most of the season, if not all of the season, without Gordon Hayward, so that in and of itself is not a big deal. But without Kyrie, to be scoring 107 per 100 possession, it's nuts.
Belief is a hell of a thing in the playoffs.
Confidence is a hell of a thing.
Yeah.
Coaching is a hell of a thing. They have a distinct home court advantage. That was a boat racing 108-83. Cleveland, that is to say, LeBron will adjust, but I could see that going 7. And I'm actually not going to be stunned if Boston wins the series. And I don't say that to overreact. I just, again, you know that what they're going to do defensively, and Boston's really good on defense, is going to cause Cleveland problems. And Cleveland had problems with another really good defensive team in Indiana already, so this could get dicey.
Indiana in the first round. I mean, this isn't Cleveland of 2 seasons ago, 3 seasons ago. It's not crazy to think that Boston might win the series if a team like Indiana can take Cleveland all the way to the end. And the Toronto series being what it is, it's where Cleveland has a mental edge over Toronto, and it was only reinforced after the Raptors blew Game 1. They end up coughing away some big-time situations down the stretch in Game 3, too. This isn't the invincible LeBron's going to the finals type Cleveland team. It looked like all the dominoes were falling in place for him to do so, given that Philly didn't advance to the East Finals, but it wouldn't be crazy. It's not crazy if Boston wins the series or they push it to minimum 6 or 7.
Yeah, well, I was counting on them going at least 6. And winning Game 1 helps the cause, Tom Lang. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, but now you're rooting for Cleveland in Game 2.
Yeah, well, yeah, I don't need Boston sweeping or anything crazy like that. Right. I mean,
it goes from, all right, Boston to the third quarter if they're leading by 10 in Game 2. You go, whoa,
is this just going to be a manhandling?
What? LeBron sucks.
What's Jaylen Brown out there doing, man? That's just hilarious. I mean, you're just seeing guys that a lot of people are like, who the hell is that guy? That's a fun team. Anyhow, having said all of that, to bring it back locally, there's nothing going on. Oh, we can pretend that there is something going on. That's a 4-game sweep in baseball against a team that has no business being in that ballpark. That's ridiculous. What a catastrophe. 4 games against that team.
Let's schedule another one. Come on, why not
Let me get 8
5?
in a row. Let's all feel a false sense of bravado as we move forward. Now, at least we get NC State this week, and so it gets back to being games that are watchable. The games this weekend weren't watchable. And, just ask. I mean, that thing yesterday, sweet Jesus, call off the dogs.
We are currently in the Boyd's World Rankings a 10 seed ahead of Clemson. Go figure on that one. But at number 8 in the pseudo RPI, Stetson has made its way into the top 8, at least in these rankings.
Yeah,
Pretty crazy.
Well, they're not hosting a damn thing. So they can be.
They might be hosting
they're not hosting
one
anything.
weekend.
They're not sending anybody to Stetson. Part of it's a bid too, so they're
Right, yeah.
They're not sending anybody to Stetson. But I would say this, Florida State's ahead of Clemson, but we lost the series to Clemson. We also lost the series to Duke, who's top 14, right?
Yes, they're at 14, and NC State is at 16, and that would be the opponent this weekend. I believe that's a Thursday to Saturday series?
Thursday to Saturday series,
Man.
and I would say it's really important to win 2 of 3. I don't know that you're even guaranteed anything in that top 8, even with a sweep, but you might want to get the sweep if you can. I've kind of made up my mind that they're going to be on the road at some point in this postseason. Florida State is. I don't think they're going to get that top 8 national
Well,
seed.
if they make it out of the regional weekend, and I'm not trying to be crazy about us, it's just that
it's a truncated tournament, sure.
you don't necessarily have a lockdown ace that you like. So,
No, you don't.
yeah.
No, the team's flawed, but most of these teams are, save for Florida. It's funny. I was talking about this with Ira, and you and I have had this conversation on the air here. We've talked about it a lot before. Just that somebody popped the balloon, man. The air has been left out of the balloon. I can't come on here and say that I feel a certain way when I don't. Now, I'm not saying I'm bereft of hope. I'm not saying that I don't think they can go on a run and that this is all lost, that it's a disaster or anything like that. That's not what I mean when I say that somebody's popped the balloon. But the enthusiasm and excitement that I had annually, that most fans had annually for Florida State baseball has been lacking. It's just been lagging behind. Some of it is a confluence of events. Some of it is the fact that, everything is shiny and new with the football program. And the football program is always going to be king. It's always going to rule over baseball. So no matter what, if something newsworthy is happening with football, it takes precedent over baseball and basketball, any other sport for that matter. But because something is really shiny and really new and really different, and we're coming off a disastrous season in football, almost all of your emotion and focus turns its attention at some point during the week to football, to how's he doing in recruiting and how's the tour going throughout the state of Florida. Is he kind of lobbying the base there? Is everybody getting excited and giving money? And listen, it's a time that needs to happen right now, really across sports, frankly. But that's, money, influx of money, different campaigns and different buildings and things and architecture that we're talking about left and right, all that, it's going on right now. So it takes away from the baseball. And then basketball this past year, of course, goes to the Elite Eight, which is crazy to think about. That's back-to-back years of the NCAA tournament, some good things going on there. And then all of a sudden there's controversy. I really didn't care that C.J. Walker left, but I certainly cared that Obiagu left, and now that's completed. It's done. He's gone. Hate that really kind of just a corruption situation there with a handler taking precedent. It's unfortunate, but what are you going to do? It's a tough loss.
It's NCAA basketball, so there's always going to be something, right?
It feels that way, certainly. So that, too, though, served as a distraction for baseball to kind of lag behind. But then also because I feel like we're in a little bit of limbo, and that's really nobody's fault per se. But the set of circumstances where you win, like you consistently do, so nothing new there, which we should all be proud of and not take for granted, but it's impossible not to take for granted when it's been 50 years in a row, which is, again, speaks volumes to the excellence that Mike Martin has provided this program for over 4 decades. That's amazing, right? At the same time, we're so accustomed to it that you're like, okay, when's the postseason? And then, let's just be honest, Florida's just beating everybody's ass. They're 41-12. They're better this year than they were last. They're a lot better offensively than they were last year. They won the whole damn thing last year, and they got better. And, oh, by the way, we haven't beaten them in 52 years. So you're sitting here talking about the thing that you want to get excited about because it's that time of year to get excited, and you're like, what for? And that's unfortunate. But that feeling, that weight, it's there. It's real.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, we talked about this, a month, 6 weeks ago, where I said I feel stuck. I'm tired of having the same 4 or 5 discussions about the baseball program, and I know it's a really layered answer, but I want to ask the hypothetical question out of frustration. Whose fault is it that I haven't heard about a line of succession? And I know there's a million ways to go with that answer, and it's probably a long-form program in and of itself that nobody wants to hear because it doesn't get you a resolution. But why don't we know what's next? How do we not, even if it's Martin's extended, how do we not know what's next for the next 2 or 3 seasons? It's just crazy to me.
TPC Sawgrass sees Webb Simpson boat race basically the field. I understand that he's only 4 shots clear of Charles Schwartzel and Walker and Schaffel. 5 shots clear of Jason Day. More palatable name and consistent.
What's funny is you're such an elitist about these things,
I am.
But then one of those guys might in 2 years be a standard guy, and you go, well, of course. Well, Schwartzel, man, what a resurgence he's had to his career. I'm glad he's on the leaderboard.
It's not going to happen. So here's the thing. Maybe it does. And if it does, I'll eat my words. In the interim, screw Charles Schwartzel. Nobody cares. Good for you, Webb Simpson. There's no debating anything there. I mean, that's not you got fortunate or got a break or anything like that. That's a domination. It's the first 3 days of not being able to miss a putt, playing brilliant golf, which unfortunately really rendered the tournament really kind of obsolete for the weekend. I mean, I watch because I'm a big golf fan, and so do you. But I would think that in the way that this captured or didn't capture the country, and I would argue it didn't, I imagine those ratings are going to be way down. That event, by the way, nationally does exceptionally well. A lot of people do view it as quote-unquote the 5th major. I don't think anybody watched this weekend. You couldn't have had a more boring leaderboard. It was awful. So what ends up happening is Tiger makes a run and maybe draws you back a little bit. And so I did tune into that. And there were some pairings that you liked. But again, Webb Simpson on a Sunday was never really threatened. That said, what's good for the PGA Tour and what's good for those of us who just like drama and competition moving forward is Tiger Woods is way ahead of schedule. And he is now competing on a regular basis with the likes of a Justin Thomas, a Jason Day, a Jordan Spieth, a Rory McIlroy. He's outperforming a Rory McIlroy and others on a regular basis now. And so the question about whether or not he could climb all the way back and compete with young guns, I think that's already answered. He hasn't won this year, but he's got 2 top 5s, 3 top 20s, and 8 starts. Okay. Right. I mean, that's going to work. So he's around on the weekend. He's playing well, performing well. Couple of seconds this year, and that's exciting. Welcome back, Brooks Koepka. Good to see Florida State's own Brooks Koepka go out there and roll a 63 on a Sunday after having the wrist injury. He's the reigning U.S. Open champion and a guy that really was fearful that maybe that injury was going to cost him the season, the entirety of this season. That was on the table. He was trying to avoid surgery. So seeing him come back now is exciting. At this point, you got to believe that when it comes to stuff you and I love, the Ryder Cup, et cetera, he'll be in that discussion.
I would think he would be, sure. I mean, he's already making serious waves, and he just got back to playing. I mean, the Players is no joke, as you talk about, with the field. It's regarded as the best field in golf, and he was right there to make a charge on Sunday, and he tied the course record at 63. It was done a couple of times this weekend. The course played a little bit easier than in years past. I saw the scoring average on Sunday was about 2 shots better than its usual Sunday scoring average. It's the last year for it in May, too. I mean, this is kind of a local event, right, for us. We can drive over on I-10 a couple hours if we want to go. Next year, it's going to return to March.
Woo! Yeah, if you've never been to a PGA Tour event and you can't go on a Mother's Day weekend, like has happened the last few years, be excited because next year this tournament does move to March. The field is always incredible, and it's a couple-hour drive, and I would suggest if you've been thinking about going to watch the pros up close and personal at a magnificent golf course, Go next year. Go in March. I don't work for him or anything like that, but Tom and I will be going. We're going to take a few days off and go next year. I'll just let you know that in advance.
Interesting circumstances to get Tiger to the weekend in the first place. It was on the 18th hole on Friday that Jordan Spieth and Justin Thomas had to putt around. I mean, like it was a mini golf course before tapping in just to open the door for Tiger to make the weekend. And then they get screwed ratings-wise because it's not on television. It might be on PGA Tour Live, but it wasn't on television when he's going low and he shoots a 30 on the front nine on Saturday.
Yeah, we got to do something here. What are we doing on the Golf Network? Look, I love you, Golf Channel, but go to hell if you're going to tell me that we can watch Tiger putt, and then we got to cut back to the studio. No. That's not what we do, man. Promote the sport. Let's go. This is ridiculous. I mean, you got the most signature, high-profile player in the world making a charge for the, potentially for the ages, and we're not allowed to watch it. Nobody can watch the damn thing.
Yeah, they didn't cut to him full-time until 16, I think it was. And they got the NBC crew going a couple hours before the broadcast began. Well, you don't envision Tiger is just going to be one of the first off on a Saturday. But, yeah, if he gets to about hole 5 and he's 4 under or hole 6 and he's 4 under.
You may want to start showing him.
Yes.
It was close.
That was as close as you've come in a long time.
But I caught it. That's restraint right there,
wow.
buddy. Yeah,
that's like Tiger on the downswing.
That was just me catching it right
Somebody
there.
snaps
buddy.
a picture.
That was close. Big news today from the Supreme Court, right? All right, sporting guys or gals. We had one of 4 outcomes that could happen, and 2 of those kind of involved a decision that would fit New Jersey really well. There was a third outcome that was thought to be in terms of what could happen, which was the Supreme Court voting to uphold the Professional and Amateur Sports Protection Act of 1992, also known as PASPA. And then the fourth one was the one that we got, which was the one that a lot of people, if you put odds on it, Tom, would not have selected, which was to blow that bitch up. And they did. That's what you do. They blew it up on Monday morning. That is today. Dateline, Washington, D.C. The Supreme Court ruled in favor of New Jersey, and in doing so ruled that the PASPA was unconstitutional. Thereby, it repeals the law and opens up really the proverbial floodgates for sports gambling across the country. And it was an overwhelming decision, in fact. So now what happens is New Jersey gets sports betting. Boom. Right now, it happens. You could look at other states throughout the country. There are 20 to 22 state legislatures that are already working on advancing sports gaming bills currently. So we will see that get the go-ahead now. There have been many more introduced. West Virginia has already passed such legislation, so that's going to happen. That'll fast-track sports betting for them. You have people in Pennsylvania, Mississippi, aforementioned New Jersey, as well as having done the same. I think if I read correctly this morning, expand this to 30 to 33 states within the next year and a half. We'll be wrestling with the idea of how best to profit from legal sports gambling, which state by state now they have to decide whether or not they want to do. Given that it involves huge sums of money and how that gets divvied out, I imagine we'll see an HBO film on this sort of thing about 10 years from right now. It will involve people getting killed, paid off, and the like. I don't care about any of that except to say that I can't wait to gamble legally here in the state of Florida and many others. That's what you do. And so we can all be responsible guys and gals and do what we want with our own money like adults. Woo! Good time. Big Daddy J was celebrating this morning.
Yeah, you're right. There are a lot of layers to this thing, and it can go a lot of directions for a lot of different people to either make a lot of money or no money at all.
And those that will end up in tragic accidents off of a bridge.
That's why you need me, your friendly household lobbyist.
Diabetes.
Tragic.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Landowners, your Mahindra dealer is ready to help you save during Mahindra's Red Tag Sale. Enjoy up to $7,900 in tractor cash back and savings, or utility vehicle savings up to $1,700. Plus, Mahindra's industry-leading warranties still come standard. So hurry in for Mahindra's Red Tag Savings.
TNT.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Actual explosion.
Hey, Charles.
Want to pull up to the party on this? Or arrive in this? Make this musical request? Or this one? So yeah, you can keep drinking the same old, but we think you'll like the exploding fist bump, showing up to the party properly way to lemon lime, right? Mountain Dew Ice. Clear, refreshing lemon lime, redefined.
Don't just listen to The Jeff Cameron Show. Watch it live. The Jeff Cameron Show Streamcast. Live weekdays 3 to 6 p.m. Head to ESPNTallahassee.com today to watch live or catch up on demand. The Jeff Cameron Show Streamcast. Brought to you by Nice Tire and Auto, your trusted Goodyear dealer.
Nice Tire and Auto, just minutes away from FSU campus.
Pants, 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 pants.
Coffee.
Pants, 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 pants.
Coffee.
Oh, pants, 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 pants.
Coffee.
Tide knows clothes and stains just don't go together. Break them up with 10 times the cleaning power from
Coffee.
1. Tide. If it's gotta be clean, it's gotta be Tide.
Coffee. Yeah.
I give to you easy laundry service from my friends at Wash Around the Clock. Oh, buddy, this is a game changer. If you're like me, your life is hectic. Between work, school, your kids' sporting events and activities, well, it leaves you precious little time to kick back and take a load off. About the last thing you want to do is hours of laundry, but there it sits, staring at you, taunting. No more. That's right, more watching, less washing. Save hours of valuable time when you sign up not doing laundry with easy laundry service from Wash Around the Clock. Whether it's dry cleaning or just plain laundry, Wash Around the Clock's easy laundry service will pick up and deliver at your home or office. So sign up for free today at easylaundry.net, or you can give them a call, 850-597-9007. Again, sign up today at easylaundry.net. Oh, and by the way, I got you. Use promo code JCS20 and save 20%. That's promo code JCS20. You're saving 20% on your first order. That's easylaundry.net from Wash Around the Clock.
See, very intrigued by the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
Has anyone ever said the word peppers better than Mel Kiper?
Peppers.
Has anyone in the history of the word peppers ever said it better than Mel Kiper Jr.?
Peppers.
Mel Kiper Jr. doesn't say it as well as Mike's fake Mel Kiper Jr. says it.
Peppers.
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 You talk about a peppers.
Peppers.
I think people are right. Like, who would say it better? Who would you even nominate?
Peppers. Oh, wow.
Oh, wait a minute. Chris summoned some fake Stephen A. Smith, and he got it from his groin.
Peppers. Wow.
Wow, it's pretty good.
Peppers. 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 Peppers.
The Dan Le Batard Show, weekdays at 10 a.m. on 97.9 ESPN Radio. You're listening to The Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Congratulations to the ladies on a walk-off. Little softball action. I don't know if you got to see it. Also, the women's tennis team knocked off the University of Florida in Gainesville. Get you some. Get you some, Florida. Little 4-3 action, huh? That's good.
Yeah, those Gator courts got a little bit more blue with the tears.
Streaming tears.
Of the University of Florida.
That means we're going to the Sweet 16. Well done, ladies. All of that was more exciting than what our baseball team did in cruising to victory in those 4 games. Also, I would say, and if you haven't watched the walk-off, the home run against Pitt, call me cruel because it's my team, but I giggled at the sadness in the eyes of every one of those Pitt players.
You did?
I'm ruthless, man.
That is ruthless.
I know some people really felt for those young ladies. I didn't. I really didn't. I said, well, sometimes your heart gets ripped out in sport. It can happen. I've been on the wrong end. My heart has been ripped out, so today it had to be yours. Damn shame. Pitch better. Do better. You can't give up that lead in the last inning, man. That's crazy. Anyhow, home run, and it was awesome, and good job, Anna. Didn't look like she got it either.
Man, the left fielder looks like that she would be inconsolable for the next 2 to 3 seasons. She never turned back towards the mound or towards home plate. Or she just
the one girl comes over to talk to her.
Walked to the wall and just stared at the wall, I think. That's rough.
So it's crazy, right? They're losing. Florida State is. Florida State, we won 4 straight ACC titles, I guess, coming into this thing. And we're losing 4-1 in the final inning. And then it's 4-2, but now there's 2 outs. That is brutal. With 2 runners on base, and then Anna Shelnut came to the plate and said, "Suck it," and hit the walk-off bomb to win it. And, it's an exciting ending and a great one for Florida State. They seem to win that tournament every year. This year being no different, just a little bit more dramatic. And for Pitt, I didn't know this at the time. So maybe that's why I lacked the sympathy that one would normally have just as a human being. I didn't know that their program is ass sorry that it never has accomplished anything of any note in softball, including they've only been they've only been one other time to the NCAA tournament.
Okay.
So they didn't have a great season. They had been overachieving in this tournament. If they had won this tournament, they would qualify for the NCAA tournament for just the second time in their program's history. So obviously, they were chasing their hopes and dreams. And they probably went into the ACC tournament, Tom, not thinking that there was any chance in hell that they would win the ACC tournament. I mean, not with big bad Florida State across the way.
Right.
A team that always wins the tournament. And they were on the precipice. There they were. It was there. They could see it. They could reach out and touch it. Everything they've ever worked for. It was right there to be had.
It was sinister. It was Bane. I will poison their souls with hope.
With hope, indeed.
And then take it away from them.
And so it's not only did they, there was a lot of hope. That's not a little bit of hope. That's 4-1 in the final inning.
So simple.
That's 4-2 with 2 outs.
Yeah.
That's a lot of hope. That's just not a little. Hey, that's not like we're gonna have an appetizer of hope. That's a big old steak of hope.
Oh yeah.
That's a heap and helping of hope. And then, bing.
It's an Oklahoma-sized steak
Yeah,
of hope.
it's a big one right there, man. That's crazy. That one hurt your feelings and then some. That'll sting. That'll last you. One of those girls that's on that Pitt softball team someday will be 52 years old, working somewhere, and in her cubicle, she's going to start weeping out of the blue, knowing that she came so close to touching her dream only to have it yanked from her.
I never realized my cubicle is the same shade of blue as the outfield fence at the softball championships in 2018.
I watched that ball sail over the fence, taking with it my hope at achieving something in greatness. Oh, the pain.
I looked up at the ceiling tiles in my office and the standardized lights that scream Matrix. I swear I saw a softball flying over my head and into the next cubicle.
And there it was. I saw that face again. Anna, why?
And I wept.
Yeah. I still do at 52, frequently in the shower. Out of nowhere, it'll hit me what happened, what I lost that day as that ball sailed over the left field fence.
Poison.
Cruel and unusual. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Landowners, your Mahindra dealer is ready to help you save during Mahindra's Red Tag Sale. Enjoy up to $7,900 in tractor cash back and savings, or utility vehicle savings up to $1,700. Plus, Mahindra's industry-leading warranties still come standard. So hurry in for Mahindra's Red Tag Savings.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Blountstown Highway, 574-4100.
ESPN Radio is brought to you in part by Amerigas Propane of Tallahassee, Bagel Market Bistro, and by Early Trucking Company in Arlington, Georgia.
Barry knows cool. He's keeping you comfortable. Barry knows cool. You can put him to the test.
Turn up the savings and be comfortable this spring when you turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air. Get $1,200 in cool cash rebates when you purchase a select Carrier system and get up to 60 months no interest on all purchases. Learn more at BaranoAC.com.
Barano Heating and Air Conditioning.
Florida license CAC 057652.
Want to trick your truck for free? Mountain Dew and Dollar General announce Trick Your Truck. Your shot at winning up to $10,000 to trick your truck. Get your free Do Life sticker at any Tallahassee area Dollar General and put it on your ride. Spotters are looking for Do Life stickers now.
Are you ready to experience an awesome fishing expedition? Sea Quarters Marina is home to several great charter services. All charters are customized based upon the types of fishing opportunities available and the type of fishing the customer requests. The Northwest Gulf Coast offers a variety of different angling adventures thanks to unspoiled back county islands and crystal clear flats. For more information regarding charters, call Sea Quarters Marina at 697-8400 or online at seaquartersmarina.com.
You have to be up in 5 hours. 2 hours. 6 minutes, and you haven't slept a wink. ZzzQuil Pure Z's is a drug-free blend of botanicals with an optimal dose of melatonin, so you can fall asleep naturally and wake with no next-day grogginess. So tonight, try new ZzzQuil Pure Z's from the sleep experts at Vicks ZzzQuil.
Shot, save, rebound, score! The playoffs are here. The Corner Pocket is your home all spring long for all the heart-pounding moments in the NBA and Stanley Cup playoffs. It's held in a shot, save, rebound, score! The Corner Pocket on Appalachia Parkway next to Earth Fair is your headquarters for Trivia Tuesdays, Beer Bingo Thursdays, and of course, all the moments you'll never forget. For the championship! The Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, 2475 Appalachia Parkway. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Here's what's happening. The Supreme Court gave a go-ahead for states to allow gambling on sports across the nation, voting 6-3, striking down a federal law that banned betting on football, basketball, baseball, and other sports in most states. New Jersey plans to be the first state to allow legal sports betting. The NBA Western Conference Finals matchup we've waited for all season long gets underway tonight when the Rockets welcome the Warriors in the opener. One of the key matchups, James Harden and Chris Paul versus Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. Harden and Paul have to hit their shots for Houston to have a chance, notes ESPN's Jalen Rose.
Because if it doesn't go in, a couple of things happen when you isolate so much. You don't get second chance points, which means you're clearly not getting offensive rebounds. And here's the thing you watch for. You shoot late in the shot clock. Yeah. It's under 4 every time you're taking a shot under duress. And that is no way to consistently miss the big shot, make a living against the Golden State Warriors.
Pre-game coverage of game number 1, 8 Eastern, ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. From ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski, the Bucks and Raptors focusing on former Hawks coach Mike Budenholzer in their head coaching searches. After dropping game 1, Golden Knights seek to bounce back in game 2 of the NHL's Western Conference Final tonight against the Jets in Winnipeg. NFL, Texans coach Bill O'Brien says quarterback Deshaun Watson on schedule to be in training camp in July. Watson's recovering from a torn ACL in his right knee. 3-time Pro Bowler D'Angelo Hall announcing that he's retiring after 14 NFL seasons. Serena Williams' coach told WTAtennis.com he's confident she will be at Roland Garros for the second Grand Slam of the year on May 27th, the French Open. He added that Williams, who lost at Miami and Indian Wells in March, returned to play too soon after giving birth in September.
Live from the AmeriGas Propane Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Happy pappy, that's happy to be nappy. Me and Ben Rock went spots in flocks and groups and troops with timber boots and gel suits. That's how I
Jeff Cameron Show 97.9 ESPN Radio. Put Tom to the test. My man's got skills on the censor button. Email the show if you like, JCS at 979ESPNradio.com. Did it? Yeah, man, I let it go long. I wanted to see, make sure we had it all in play there. We're good.
Yeah. I may have played this and then double-checked that the delay
2 or
is in
3
order.
times.
Well, just make sure the delay is in order, especially after the first segment. I was like, woo, boy. We were
good.
Close.
We're good. At J. Cameron Show, at _Tom Lang. Listening to the two of you discuss venue atmosphere, etc. Oh, that's from Friday. You're just catching up, Mary. Appreciate you. My experience has been, as a blind person, that walking out to the baseball field brings me joy. Walking into a football stadium brings me anticipatory energy. So I get it, Jeff. Yeah, you know, Mary, thank you for listening to the program all of these years. But we were talking about that, and I actually asked former All-Pro offensive lineman Brad Hopkins the question, does he, as a fan, get excited walking into stadiums? Even though he played 13 years in the league in the NFL, and, you know, does he get excited when he sees the field of a football stadium or a baseball stadium or basketball? For him, it's the sound of sneakers squeaking on that floor, Tom. It's the sound of a gymnasium, the echo of a basketball bouncing that does it for him. He said that he always wanted to play in the NBA, even though he played 13 years in the NFL, but that basketball was his first love. And that he was always such that he longed for what it would be like to be in a clubhouse because his son is a baseball player on a college scholarship playing catcher at Western Kentucky.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And his other son is the starting tight end for Purdue University. So I'm learning all these tidbits about the co-host I have on Saturday mornings on SiriusXM for College Sports Saturday. But the point is everybody's got a different thing, an affinity that they have for a sport that we were talking about on Friday. And I actually found that subject matter touched a lot of nerves. A lot of people, and I mean in a good way, a lot of people responded both on Twitter and via email about various venues that they like to go or sports where it makes them feel a certain way that they value more than others. And for you and me, it seems to be baseball. But I don't know if I'm speaking for you, but
baseball just makes me feel at
relaxed.
peace.
Yeah, much more relaxed. I agree with you. That's maybe just because football is so intense, we long for the relaxed nature of baseball.
I will say a regular season hockey game, I can be relaxed. I can sit down and just enjoy the play because there's nothing on the line. You know, it's not a life or death. The playoffs, completely different story. Basketball, though, regular season games for how consistently Florida State has needed to win.
Well, you get more nervous.
A lot of 50-50 games, in order to go where we want to go, which is the NCAA tournament. I'm the worst. I'm the worst with basketball.
Yeah, but you don't act weird. It's just the way you're talking about the way it makes you feel
internally.
Inside,
Well, at home on the couch, I act weird. That's the only sport that makes me act really odd and loud is basketball. Again, because it's not a shoe-in. Now, if we were playing, let's say, Wake Forest on the road, and I like how Wake is always the example here for these types of stories.
We use Wake a lot. They seem to be the good example for almost every sport.
But if we have 11 conference wins and we still have 5 games to play, whatever, no big deal. But the life of Florida State in basketball is you got to get every win while it's there for the taking, because you're going to be somewhere close to the bubble more times than not. But football, no, A-okay. I'm prepared for football. It's just the basketball surprises you. When you think Florida State's going to drop 80, they drop 62. When you think they're going to get boat raced by Duke, well, you're in a game.
They're in the game with 2 minutes to play.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, basketball can elicit that, yeah. I don't envy people who are passionate about sports in their 20s. I look back on that time in my life where sports meant way too much to me. It still means a lot, but it's just in proper perspective at all times. Almost never do I freak out about anything in sports anymore. I don't mean that in a bad way. It doesn't mean I've lost passion for it. I love this job. I love it. No. I just mean like you do. You live long enough that you get beat in heartbreaking fashion. You win in exhilarating fashion, and everything in between. And you just learn that there's a place for it. And it's just, and maybe because enough other things that are really of a greater magnitude happen in your regular life, whether that's good or bad, the sadness and or happiness. So
I think it's when you have something to lose that you start to get really emotionally dialed in. If it's on a journey, if you're going on the way, this is part of the season. This is part of what I expect. But if you have something going, like in baseball, if there's a no-hitter, or in football, let's say
it builds to that point.
Yeah, in football, you're playing in December, and it's your NFL team, and you haven't made the playoffs since 2007, and you have a chance to win a football game that puts you back in the NFL playoffs, and it's 3rd and 6, and you really could use this conversion. In those moments, the heart will race. But living and dying on every set of downs, no. I don't miss that at all either.
Reading a story that allows us to pivot here for a second, Tom, that's going to make you throw up in your mouth a little bit, because we hate these kinds of contradictions and absurdities as stated by figures in a position of power in our sports leagues, but the NFL can go straight to hell. They're bemoaning today's decision by the Supreme Court. And I would just suggest to you that of all the leagues, the NFL has benefited the most from gambling. Please just get the hell out of here with that nonsense. In an industry that requires its teams to release an injury report, can we please pipe down on the worries over the integrity of the game now that gambling is legalized? Are you kidding me? There are players in that league who encourage you to sign up for their Bet Kings or whatever team that weekend. Join me and compete against others around the country in our fantasy football contest. Pick your 5 against my 5 or whatever else it will be, right? Stop it. Just stop it. And moreover, they already know that the safest and most obvious example of the sport being monitored to ensure against the integrity of the sport being violated is Las Vegas, who is the first to notify any league upon seeing irregularities in betting that would lead them to the conclusion that somebody's on the take.
Yeah, I fully understand here where leagues are looking for at least an earmarked buck or two, for the integrity fees, because it's going to be so widespread. Gambling is going to be so widespread. Now, I'm not taking the NFL side. Let me circle around.
It's already illegally
yes.
so widespread. This will just make it legal.
It will, but there's going to be so many institutions that pop up, and I think there is going to be a pool of new people contributing to the betting system. I think there are those who would wait for it to be legalized before they would start betting. I don't think everybody's like
I don't think people are lining up around the block, though. It's just like with drugs. When you the old argument about being against legalizing, say, marijuana or any other drug for that matter. The idea being once you legalize it, that people who've never used drug before are just to start using drugs. They're not.
No, but what I'm saying is I think there's a protocol in place already, but now you need more manpower. There's no doubt you need more manpower because you're going to have 30 more states at minimum in the next couple of years come on board and adopt a system such as this. So you need it's almost like a compliance department for the NCAA as there's more things that can go wrong with social media. Tagging of photos was a concern a few years ago for the NCAA. You need more people in an office who can handle these particular issues and sort them out for you. So I understand that. But at the same time, yeah, to act like it's now in existence where it wasn't yesterday, that's also completely disingenuous, and it's going to increase the viewership numbers because now a 3-score game in the fourth quarter is going to legally matter in a lot more states than it did yesterday.
I hate that they're angling to get their fair share of the money through what they're going to call integrity fees, which drives me nuts because to me, again, this is already in place as far as the casinos go and the places that are going to be taking bets. They're all going to want to ensure that the sport is on the up and up. People don't bet on things that they believe to be fixed. They have always been the number one purveyor of this. This is what they look for. They're the ones. They basically caught the official Donnelly or whatever his name was.
Yeah, Tim Donahue.
Yeah, they caught him. Vegas caught him. I mean, that's who caught him. You've seen former commissioners like Stern do a 180 on this and realize they had it wrong all those years. The athlete today makes way too much money. This isn't the 20s and 30s. This isn't where you could get to a guy who's a painter for 8 months out of the year and then he goes and plays a professional sport. These guys make millions of dollars. There's nobody you can approach in a league of professional athletes and say, hey, I'll give you $50,000 to miss a few shots. Man, get the hell out of here. I make $28 million a year. You know what I mean? They're hypocrites. The NFL especially, and by the way, I should probably read what they said so that you're not in the dark here. The NFL's long-standing and unwavering commitment to protecting the integrity of our game remains absolute. Congress has long recognized the potential harms posed by sports betting to the integrity of sports contests and the public confidence in these events. Given that history, we intend to call on Congress again, this time to enact a core regulatory framework for legalized sports betting. We also will work closely with our clubs to ensure that any state efforts that move forward in the meantime protect our fans and the integrity. Protect our fans from what? From what?
ESPN is back down with content decisions, personnel perhaps that they employ to talk about the NFL because the NFL has made a call over to Bristol and said stop doing it. But they've never, ever slowed down ESPN or other networks from posting the number before a game starts and talking about who to take.
The Bear is on a College Game Day show. College.
Yeah.
And they cite the lines on College Game Day. The injury report is for gamblers. Period.
What's the concern level there about corruption in the college game, though? Those kids haven't made money yet. And if you're playing, let's say, a low-level NCAA Division I basketball game at a mid-major?
Well, they've had that problem before. I don't know that legalized gambling does anything to change that. I mean, people are betting billions of dollars illegally every year as is. That doesn't change. I
would think it goes from a $5 billion industry to much, much higher, though. That's what all these states are buying in for, right?
Well, they're buying to make money. More than 150 – here's the stat. I wanted to look it up. The American Gaming Association says that more than $150 billion are bet on sports annually in the United States. In addition – this was the poll that led to the push forward for the Supreme Court to take a look at this case, which is the Murphy case versus the NCAA. The American Gaming Association, 56% of Americans approve of legalized gambling. The legalization of sports gambling requires an important police choice, but the choice is not ours to make, says the Justice Justice Alito. Congress can regulate sports gambling directly, but if it elects not to do so, each state is then free to act on its own. Our job is to interpret the law Congress has enacted and decided whether it is consent with the Constitution. PSPA is not. So New Jersey moves forward now, and we go forward from there. I could get into the weeds here. We're not going to do that on this show. But I don't know really what changes all that much here, other than you can now legally go and gamble. Well, at least for now in New Jersey, in addition to Las Vegas, and we suspect that upwards of 20 to 30 more states will join the party.
Yeah, my guess here, though, again, is that you're in college towns, and if NCAA gambling on amateur athletics, of course, right, is allowed, there are more sources for the multi-$1,000 handshake for a kid, where we're worried about kids using book buyback money, for tattoos, right? Was that the Ohio State scandal?
Mm-hmm.
Is that they were using like book money to go get tattoos or whatever it was? Something like that. If we're worried about that, and now there's going to be a parlor in Tuscaloosa, Alabama that can handle wagering, if it's going to be something that like the Euro model, well, who's to say that a local townie doesn't, make contact somehow with a kid, and now we've got something on our hands because that kid is a special teamer. He's not going to go in the first round of the NFL draft.
The special teamer can't influence all that much the overall line of a game. I mean, first of all, special teams is all but over with in football.
Get to the long snapper. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's just
that was always the case. That doesn't change. If they wanted to get to a long snapper, they could have got to a long snapper with illegal sports gambling and given them a piece of the prize, whatever it was that they were going to get back. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know that it changes all that much. I feel like the rules are already in place that govern that, right? It's already against the rules. It's already such that if you're caught doing it, you could go to jail, literally. People have. That's not going to change. It's not suddenly okay for any athlete to do. I don't think they're suddenly going to go, oh, well, in that case. I just don't see it that way. I'm cynical because I believe what's going to happen, and I believe what they're starting to posture for, and the NFL especially is doing this now. They're going to make it seem like there's a greater threat to their sport, the integrity of their sport, I should say. They'll keep using that word, by the way, even though they know how much money. In fantasy football, what do they think is going on with fantasy football, which has made their sport infinitely more popular? Fantasy football has done for the NFL like more than anything else that they could possibly have. And they turn their eye to that all the time.
I guess the follow-up question I have is who can be certified to take the bets? What is going to be the process for each state to certify somebody?
Okay, well, that's a different discussion.
Will there be new shady entrepreneurs that enter this business that have not existed? Because in some ways, your around-the-corner guy is a professional. In the same way that Vegas is. They have a system. They abide by their system. They're not willy-nilly. They've done this for a little while.
I think
they kind of know what they're doing. But if you bring in a whole new wave of people who are interested in business in general, and they see this as a new revenue stream, well, they might not be as buttoned up as the person who's been doing it around the corner for umpteen years, whatever it is.
Maybe not. I have a suspicion that any of the sports betting outfits, whether it's a sports book like William Hill, whether it's Atlantic City, they're going to want their model to resemble that of Las Vegas so that people know that this is professional and on the up and up, and that the people regulating and monitoring that are akin to what you get else in Las Vegas.
I'm all for this, don't get me wrong, but all I'm saying is I think we're going to find in about 5 to 10 years that Vegas is the standard bearer.
It is.
And they're very, very good at what they do.
They are.
And to duplicate what Vegas does takes an awful lot of work.
That's true. That's true. But I would think those seeking to profit long term and make this their business would want to model anything they do moving forward on what Vegas does, because the last thing you want is for the integrity of what you do to be called into question. People aren't going to place money in shady places. They're going to go to reputable places.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Landowners, your Mahindra dealer is ready to help you save during Mahindra's Red Tag Sale. Enjoy up to $7,900 in tractor cash back and savings. or utility vehicle savings up to $1,700. Plus, Mahindra's industry-leading warranties still come standard. So hurry in for Mahindra's Red Tag Savings.
TNT. When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Will take care of you to your complete satisfaction. That's been Widden's way of doing business for over 70 years. When you call Widden Glass, you're dealing with experienced, reliable professionals who offer only the best. Like Widden's top-of-the-line bath enclosures that provide style and luxury at an affordable price. Eye-catching storefronts are a specialty at Widden Glass. We'll help you design it and install it. We've done hundreds of storefronts in the Tallahassee area. That's why Widden is known for taking care of business. Widden Glass, the first name in glass replacement. Call 222-5781.
Hey, I'm Jeff Doxey, Realtor for Capital Property Consultants, representing Premier Fine Homes. If you're thinking of owning your own brand new Premier home, call or text me at 850-545-4747 or email me, jeffdoxey1@gmail.com. You say where, I'll be there. Your Canopy Connection.
I'm the manager of tire sales at Firestone Complete Auto Care. I got my driver's license when I was 17. Back of my truck started fishtailing. That's the reason why you want good tires. They need to be able to cut through that water so that you don't lose control. My name is Gary, and I'm proud to keep your car running newer, longer.
Come get our best deal on Firestone tires this summer. Check driveafirestone.com or your local Firestone Complete Auto Care for more details. Whatever you drive, drive a Firestone.
Pants, 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 pants.
Coffee.
Pants, 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 pants.
Coffee.
Oh, pants, 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 pants.
Coffee.
Tide knows clothes and stains just don't go together. Break them up with 10 times the cleaning power from America's #1, Tide. If it's gotta be clean, it's gotta be Tide.
Coffee. Yeah.
Games for Less, the only locally owned and operated gaming store in town, has Tallahassee's largest selection of new and used video games and game systems. The future of video gaming is at Games for Less, where they have both the PS4 and Xbox One. It's time to trade in your old systems and elevate your gaming experience now. Games for Less is also your headquarters for the best in retro gaming. Atari 2600, original Nintendo, Super NES, or Sega Genesis, you name it. They got it at Games for Less. Games for Less, the Super Walmart Shopping Center on Appalachia Parkway. Give them a call today at 850-219-3535. That's Games for Less.
Driving every day from the AmeriGas studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Here's what's happening. The Supreme Court gave a go-ahead for states to allow gambling on sports across the nation, voting 6-3, striking down a federal law that banned betting on football, basketball, baseball, and other sports in most states. New Jersey plans to be the first state to allow legal sports betting. The NBA Western Conference Finals matchup we've waited for all season long gets underway tonight when the Rockets welcome the Warriors in the opener. One of the key matchups, James Harden and Chris Paul versus Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. Harden and Paul have to hit their shots for Houston to have a chance, notes ESPN's Jalen Rose.
Because if it doesn't go in, a couple of things happen when you isolate so much. You don't get second chance points, which means you're clearly not getting offensive rebounds. And here's the thing you watch for. You shoot late in the shot clock. It's under 4 every time you're taking a shot under duress. And that is no way to consistently miss the big shot, make a living against the Golden State Warriors.
Pre-game coverage of game number 1, 8 Eastern, ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. From ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski, the Bucks and Raptors focusing on former Hawks coach Mike Budenholzer in their head coaching searches. After dropping game 1, Golden Knights seek to bounce back in game 2 of the NHL's Western Conference Final tonight against the Jets in Winnipeg. NFL, Texans coach Bill O'Brien says quarterback Deshaun Watson on schedule to be in training camp in July. Watson's recovering from a torn ACL in his right knee. Three-time Pro Bowler D'Angelo Hall announcing that he's retiring after 14 NFL seasons. Serena Williams' coach told WTAtennis.com he's confident she will be at Roland Garros for the second Grand Slam of the year on May 27th, the French Open. He added that Williams, who lost at Miami and Indian Wells in March, returned to play too soon after giving birth in September.
Live from the AmeriGas Propane Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Hour number 2, Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Thanks for tuning to it. I'm Jeff, that's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free always. Don't miss anything if you do. Get caught up at your leisure, as we'll post all 3 hours both on iTunes and in our own audio vault. If you can, email the show if you like, jcs at 979ESPNradio.com. On Twitter, it's at J Cameron Show. WTSM app for mobile devices. Man, sorry about that dry intro to the second hour. I just got a bit of bad news. It's okay, but it just kind of hit me a little bit. I'm all right. Don't get too scared. Nothing, but just hug the people you love, man. That's a toughie. Sorry about that. I'm all right. Don't worry about it. It's okay. This is awkward, and it's not fair to the listener or you.
There's good news. The Lightning are playing, I guess, for another 2 games in the Eastern Conference Finals.
No. Listen. It's not a family member of mine, just somebody I know, and it's not a best friend or anything like that. So I don't want you to think that, but just kind of I was just coming on the air. You know, this is why you don't check your phone during the show.
Yeah.
It really is. It really is. Got a text, and then I was like, and I thought, okay, it's time to start the hour, and then just didn't start the hour very strongly.
I hear you. I got a couple rough ones today too, buddy. So,
well, hey, but by the way, we both.
You know when something's your fault and you.
Oh, you screwed something up?
Yeah, I did.
Why don't we talk it out for all to hear?
Okay. No.
We do start today. We did start the day by going to a funeral. But rest in peace, Earl Dennard. That guy right there, for those watching on YouTube. That's a long life, though, man. That's 94 years. And we brought it up on Friday, but just that's how the day began. And I just think, well, good Lord, how's this week going to go here?
One of the great Seminole fans to ever live. I mean, that is just
Went to the first
truth.
ever game.
Went to the first ever football game. Think about that. That's crazy. Learned about him playing semi-pro here in Tallahassee, too. I didn't know that.
I knew he was a catcher, and I knew that he had a great love and passion for baseball, and had mentioned that one night over beers. We talked a little bit about some of the guys he played with over the years and some that went on to be.
They found the picture from all those years ago. I think it was the high school picture, I think.
At Leon High.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was at a all-state or something.
They won the state? Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It's badass.
Well, I mean, actually, one of the funny things that draws you to sport is the fact that it kind of, as they say in Field of Dreams, marks the time. As does music for me. There's actual history, like the historical events that shape countries and governments and the like. But on a less complicated and less sophisticated level, it's music and sports, right? And I think what's fun too is I mean, look, we all want to grow old so that we can watch our loved ones, and they can have kids and we can do all those things. But I do love the idea. I used to love sitting down. I still think about this. My granddad's been dead for well over 20 years now, and I think about the stories he told me about watching baseball and playing golf and watching the rise of Jack and Arnie and those guys in golf, and hearing his stories about famous players in yesteryear, Oklahoma lore for him, obviously, but I mean, when you sit there and you connect to somebody's childhood, which was 70 years removed from yours, and to hear the stories along the way and regale you of sports memories, that's something you can pass on to your kids. It's something that you can share with your father. You can be very polarized politically. You can have completely different tastes in almost anything else in life, but sports can connect you, and that's why we all share that, and it's kind of what gets me into something like this and something I love where I can sit down and have that conversation no matter what you believe or I believe about any number of things that we would disagree about. But to learn of that and to learn what it was like when you walked into a stadium that no longer exists. I look at those pictures. I bring this up a lot. I'm one of those guys. I'm nostalgic by nature. I think a lot of people are. I am prone to that sappiness occasionally. But I will sit down and look at people and pictures from 1952 or 1937 or whatever and think, I wonder what their lives were like. I wonder what it was like on the way to the stadium that day. I wonder, did their team win or lose? And who was their favorite player? And look at that. That's clearly his son next to him. And what did he go on to do? And who did he root for? And what did he see in his lifetime? And I was thinking recently about all of the Florida State football games that I've been to with my dad and the Florida State games I've been to with my friends and family. And I was thinking about this year and a new regime beginning and how it is we want to go to Notre Dame and cover that game and what that's going to be like in South Bend and how exciting that is to begin a new chapter. Last hour we were talking about Florida State baseball season being largely overshadowed by a new regime in football. I love when things start fresh like that. Everybody does. We haven't really had the chance to do it, and that's why everybody is so excited. Jimbo was already here on staff when he replaced Bobby Bowden as a head coach in waiting. We've never had the chance to hit the reset button, and we have completely hit the reset button. I mean, the only guy still around is Odell Higgins. That's it, and we're happy for that. But he's our only connection to previous coaches at Florida State. That's it. That's the only guy. And so there is the unknown, and there is this feeling of eager anticipation. What's it going to be like? Is he going to screw it up? Is he going to take us to new heights? Is he going to be great? Is he going to suck? Is he going to be something in between? How long till we know? What are the indicators? Some of that is stuff we were talking about on headlines, too.
Have you gone through the stages where you've taken either side of the same argument?
Yeah, and I suppose that it will happen more. I always joke on this show about the fact that the indications that the season is closer than maybe it looks to be on a calendar, where you're counting the days or the weeks, is for me there are little things. It used to be when the EA Sports game came out, when the NCAA football came out.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I hate to bring that up, speaking of nostalgia. But when that game would come out, you're like, oh, here we go. All right, getting close. Well, you know what it was, too, Tom? Is that game would come out, but not only did it come out way before the start of the season, the announcement of the date for when the game was going to come out was part of the checkmark process. You're like, oh, it comes out on this week, and then you're counting to that week as opposed to the season.
Yeah, it was. Oh man, that was one of the hot ticket items at our listener event. Remember, for the raffles.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
that was the one people would focus in on. That.
Hey, we have. I'm not going to ruin anything here, but we're in the early stages of maybe putting together the listener appreciation party this year to be bigger than it's ever been before. And because in some capacity, I think that's going to happen. Now, to what degree and how big or how small, we're not sure yet. But some of the things Tom and I are working on, in particular Tom, he's got good insight with a group that's going to come on board with us. And I really think that the excitement around the listener party, not just because of what we're able to offer this year maybe, but also because the fact that it's going to be, in all likelihood, on a Sunday, with Monday being a holiday, that game being a night game. You want to talk about kicking it off right. One way or the other. I mean, we're going to be doing something, we think, around that time, and it's going to be bigger than it's ever been, and I am pumped for that.
Worst case, it's Libations Friday Fest, as it's always been, and Tallahassee turns out
which wouldn't suck at all, right.
But if it has this extra layer, well, how many Noles are going to be in from Atlanta, Tampa, Orlando, all over the place in town, ready for this freaking game on a Sunday afternoon where there is no work on a Monday. So, yeah, it could be pretty cool.
Yeah, starting a new tradition, a new regime, a new era of Florida State football is it's going to make the summer feel slightly interminable. Admittedly, I think that's true. At the same time, I think it's what's led to any number of absurd conversations that see you do a 180, right? You're right. I've begun the conversation on the side of everything is great. And then I've slowly begun to shift to play devil's advocate and say, well, now what about this aspect? We don't always love this offense, and here's why, even when it's humming. And, I've had some of those conversations. But going back to what I was saying to marking the time, it used to be the release of that game, but then the call from Dad. And the call from Dad is the call that is, well, what do you think about this? I've been reading this. It's clear that, for me, my dad does, is he goes to every recruiting site that covers Florida State. So War Chant, obviously, but he goes to all of them. And he reads everything there is to read. And then he'll read national articles, whether it's, Steele or whomever else, right? And he compiles his thoughts, and he compiles those articles and then derives from them what he will, and then has his thoughts and questions. Then the call comes to his son, who happens to host an afternoon show in Tallahassee.
Right, so he wants to have his ducks in a row. If Phil Steele picks us to win 10 or 11 games this year, can we just write him off forevermore?
Boo!
That's all he does. He's very high on the Noles every year.
Yeah, he is, isn't he? He is in the past, he's been a Florida State lover. I don't think he will be as much this year. An interesting talking point about Florida State, and no secret here, folks, tomorrow Seminole Headlines will be back on the air for you, so that will run tomorrow. But one of the things me and the fellows were kind of talking about off air, and you and I have had this conversation too, and I think it's an interesting one because it helps determine where you stand on what is a reasonable prediction for next season and what isn't. And that is, how much talent does Florida State have?
Right, because you're looking at the NFL draft as an indicator that perhaps we didn't have as much as we thought in the latter years.
Nearly as much as we thought.
Yeah, I see where you're going there. I think it's enough talent to, while not being coached smartly, compete with Clemson year in and year out, and we know how good they are.
It's enough talent to do that. It's enough talent to lose by 32 to Boston College.
That had more to do with heart and a lack thereof at that point, I think. I mean, look at Clemson again. What they've done the last 3 or 4 years, we've been in that game every year since we've lost, or since we last won one in 2014. You look at the Miami game last year. The Miami is the toast to college football, and even though their season crashed into the side of a mountain, they did own the college football world for back-to-back weeks with Notre Dame, Virginia Tech, winning those home games in rousing fashion, and those are pretty good teams. Notre Dame especially was a pretty good team last year. And we go into halftime and we're not up 2 scores. I don't know how. I mean, the upper end of what we had, we're the better team against Alabama in the first half of the first game of the season. And we somehow don't walk away with a lead there.
Yeah, we sure weren't the better team in the second half. I know that.
They made their adjustments, but I think the game might be different if, in fact, a certain call is made and perhaps we're winning. And we're up by 3 or 7 points or whatever it might have been, 14, 17 points that we scored in the first half. Then the game pressure might have been a little bit different. And if you have your quarterback, I think the answer is we're close, but we may not be as loaded as we thought.
Well, we're not as loaded as we thought, that's for sure. See, there was a foregone conclusion we had come to about Jimbo Fisher and his staff, and that was that they could really recruit. There were some things we had issues with on game day, such as tempo. But, his choice to not always play certain guys because they were too young or they didn't fit a certain aspect of the system. But we always, I think, certainly after he got off to such a great start in recruiting, assumed that he would continue to evaluate players very well and project how they would play and what position they could play and do a good job of that, and that he would win his fair share of the recruiting battles and get the right players. And we assumed all that because that's what he did. That's exactly what he did upon taking over. Modernized everything, ushered us into to a new era of practice and recruiting and a player evaluation. What we couldn't have known, and it's nobody's fault, but is painfully obvious now, is that somewhere along the way post-2013, that was going to begin to greatly diminish. That how well he and his staff did that and how well they developed players was going to fall off precipitously. That the level of drop-off was much steeper than we realized. And it took last year and a little bit of the year before. Let's not forget, Florida State wasn't exactly taking names and kicking ass prior to last year. We had back-to-back 3-loss seasons in which we weren't very good. I just don't think we realized the degree to which that process had begun to break apart. And so now you enter into this season where the cupboard's not bare. It ain't loaded. I mean, we've got issues at offensive line. We'll see how good our linebackers can be. Bill Miller wasn't exactly kicking ass. Our offensive line is an annual discussion. I just fear maybe we go into this season a little bit further behind Clemson as the standard bearer of the ACC these days than we realize. I understand that for whatever reason, Jimbo's teams competed well with Clemson even as the slide began. I don't know if I chalk that up to fear of embarrassment or what that was, but that seemed to be somewhat of an outlier given that we, performed so poorly against so many teams who had lesser talent than Clemson. So I wonder what we are going into this year, I guess is a better way of saying it.
Okay, if you want to put the overestimation department at 100%, I'd say that we overestimated the coaches by about 70 to 80% and the players by about 20 to 30%. I think it's more about coaching and development and scheme. If you can ask your pass rushers to get after the passer a little bit more last year, perhaps the defense looks a little bit better because by the time you get to, Game 6, Game 7, you've got the defensive ends coach yelling down the head coach because he asked them to go, pin their ears back a little bit. Can we get after this guy, please? It just seemed like on one side of the ball, we got really passive with a lot of talent, and on the other side of the ball, we got passive with not so much talent anymore after Dalvin left. I think the good news is that even though he may not be as great as Dalvin Cook, there's at least a question if Cam Akers can do enough to break his records, and that's with Jimbo the first year of his career. I mean, you've got another freak at tailback. So if you want to say that, Jamison Dalvin helped extend the life of Jimbo Fisher in the mirage, that we didn't have as much talent, Cam Akers is trending towards having a freakish career, so you've got a hell of a head start.
No. I don't think anybody would suggest we didn't bring in any talent. I just think that it had dropped off, especially comparatively speaking to what he had done in the early years of rebuilding the program and getting it back to a place where they could really compete. That first staff was hell-bent on recruiting solely. I mean, that's what their job was to do. That's why Jimbo was having to do everything else.
I know I'm defending this to the point where it sounds like I don't agree. I do agree that we did.
I just think
there's not as much talent here as we think.
That's my overriding point. I'm not saying, listen, there's nuance. So you're right to bring up some other points. I'm just saying, my argument is always that it's in comparison to the best.
Which is what we were in 13-14, yeah.
Right. I'm not trying to compare us to a middling SEC team or a middling Big 12. God knows, not a middling Big 12 team. They don't get players drafted. But you know what I mean, a middling Big 10 team or something like that. The standard for Florida State, like people used to get mad at me when I would be critical of certain Bobby Bowden teams. And I was saying, well, relative to the whole landscape of college football, Florida State is a better program than most, but that's not the standard we're holding him or this program to. We hold it to a top 10 standard. Are you a top 10 team, a top 5 team? In this case, how close are you to being a college football playoff contender and an ACC champion? That's the topic.
I think there's a few things here. Number one, how these guys that got drafted in the late rounds or not at all doing their NFL careers might speak a little bit to this conversation and help influence it all the more. If they have a good NFL career, if Derwin James is dominant and Matthew Thomas is a starter every single week,
good luck with that.
But I mean, you know what I'm saying? That could re-influence the discussion, and now we put even more blame at the coaches' feet. The coaches were a dysfunctional mess, and I think also it is empirically true, especially on offense, that the best 11 weren't on the field every week. By the end, the best 11 weren't on the field.
No, and I will always marvel at that. I will always wonder how things got twisted to a place where he made decisions based on spite. I mean, that's the only way you can.
Or stubbornness that I'm going to make it work with this guy.
Why?
Because he's a senior.
I'm trying to win damn games here, man. That's just bizarre.
It's a mess.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Landowners, your Mahindra dealer is ready to help you save during Mahindra's Red Tag Sale. Enjoy up to $7,900 in tractor cash back and savings, or utility vehicle savings up to $1,700. Plus, Mahindra's industry-leading warranties still come standard. So hurry in for Mahindra's Red Tag Savings.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
A message from the City of Tallahassee Utilities, your own utilities.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Nice Tire and Auto, just minutes away from FSU campus.
Do you work in construction, photography, or real estate and use a drone for your job? Did you know that the FAA requires you to be licensed? That's right. All commercial use drone operators have to be a Part 107 license. Have questions? Contact the drone experts at TCC's Wakulla Environmental Institute. Go to tcc.fl.edu and search drones or call 850-558-3500. That's 850-558-3500. Remember, the FAA requires all commercial use drone operators to be licensed.
Time to check out our buddy Joe over at Truck and Car Concepts. What's going on, man?
Hey, man, what's going on with you guys?
Well, here's the deal. I heard that you were gone all day as you were out tinting a house.
Yes, sir. His customer was having a big heat problem on the west side of the house in the afternoon. We went over, did the estimate, decided to do the east side of the house as well. Let me tell you something. We knocked out 79% of the heat energy, which is going to totally knock down the electricity bill. Not only that, but she had some really nice paintings that were fading out in the living room. 99% ultraviolet ray illumination.
So it would fade out like carpets and drapes and furniture and stuff?
Not only that, but it also fades out those expensive hardwood floors. So window filming the house is nothing but a plus. Like I said, it comes and it takes down the heat energy, and that's, bottom line.
So even though the place is called Truck and Car Concepts, you could throw house in there too?
We can do houses, planes, trains, or automobiles, man. If it's got glass, we tint it. Truck and Car Concepts. 656-8800. Give us a call.
For better gas mileage and a longer-lasting engine, change your vehicle's oil at Superlube every 3 months or 3,000 miles, whichever comes first. For good times and family fun, Tallahassee heads to the Fun Station. And right now, when you change your oil at Superlube, you'll get a $15 Fun Station gift card. You don't need an appointment. You'll be in and out in no time. And with 19 Tallahassee area Superlubes, there's probably one right around the corner right now.
How I love to Superlube my car. Yes, sir.
You know what? It's time you level up your lemon lime with new, clear, refreshing Mountain Dew Ice. Why settle for this when you could have this? You want a fist bump that ends in one of those fake explosions?
Hey, Charles.
Or a fist bump that ends in an actual explosion?
Hey, Charles.
Want to pull up to the party on this? Or arrive in this? Make this musical request? Or this one. So yeah, you can keep drinking the same old, but we think you'll like the exploding fist bump, showing up to the party properly way to lemon lime, right? Mountain Dew Ice. Clear, refreshing lemon lime, redefined.
Want to trick your truck for free? Mountain Dew and Dollar General announced Trick Your Truck, your shot at winning up to $10,000 to trick your truck. Get your free Do Life sticker at any Tallahassee area Dollar General and put it on your ride. Spotters are looking for Do Life stickers now.
You're locked in with the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Cameron Show 97.9 ESPN Radio. Trying to think. It's going to be South Florida that ends up being the gaming capital of the state, right? It's not going to be Tampa or Orlando. Although we could head down to the track in Tampa.
I just wonder what the role places like the Hard Rock, are going to have to say, and that's what the.
They ought to say a lot.
That's correct. What the gaming nations may have to say about this, and there's a lot of lobbying that's going to be done. Lawyers and lobbyists are so happy today because now becomes.
I want a part of that ticket, man. I'll leave the sports talk industry and go into the gaming world, man. Big Daddy Jay's ready to roll.
It's open up the briefcase and let me go to work time. That's what the lobbyist is saying today, and that's what the lawyer is saying today. And the casinos that exist right now in this state that don't have sports gambling are saying, yes, run it through us, and let's get the governor to agree to that. It has to be what's going on.
It's neat. So many different angles with that story, and there are some very basic questions that people who aren't nearly as into it as we are, such as, how close is my state to legalizing sports betting? That's like the first thing you're going to think about. And there are outlets for that online where you can look and see whether or not legislation's even been, thought about or brought forward, let alone whether or not it'll pass. In places like New Jersey, it is absolutely passing legislation. But Delaware, Pennsylvania, way ahead of the game. They already introduced legislation. So now that gets the okay to move forward. But not every state has even brought forth legislation. So I think Florida's behind right now.
I wonder if old Wendy he's eyeing this as his next opportunity now that LeBron's career is dwindling and perhaps he won't be the LeBron whisperer anymore. But there's a good article on ESPN.com's homepage about how it's going to affect sports gambling, how it's going to affect the way you consume sports. And it starts with a little vignette about a line moving drastically overseas for a Cavaliers basketball game in the last couple of years. It moved by about 12 to 15 points, and the flags red flags
because
are raised.
Because why? That's right. Thankfully, Vegas is but I'm saying, who sees that? Who notes that? The institutions where you can bet. I mean, it's always Vegas that goes, whoa.
Right.
We got a problem. What's going on here? Why'd that happen? It's probably that somebody was sitting.
So to put it more accurately, they moved the line later, but there's a lot of action coming on the Cleveland side, and people don't understand why. Well, they finally trace it back to a tweet of either an assistant coach or a reporter, I forget, but Ty Lue said that Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving and LeBron were going to sit out a certain game. They weren't. They instead were reportedly going to play in the game. So what happens? Everybody jumps on this bet as soon as they possibly can. They reset the lines and all that stuff, and the flags are taken back down. Now they know why there's movement, because the report is out there to the public.
Closely monitored.
But then he goes on to talk about different nuances in different states, and West Virginia is one of these key states. It hosts the Greenbrier, which is a PGA Tour event. I believe, isn't that where Phil does stumping for, too? I think I've seen Phil
West Virginia, like living in a cabin or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, like a mansion cabin.
Well, they had a provisional law in place if the Supreme Court came back this way, saying that they were going to legalize sports gambling, but they weren't going to pay off the professional and or amateur NCAA institutions in any way. However, the governor is tied through the Greenbrier somehow that lobbying has since seen him change his mind. And so now they're going to allocate a certain portion of gambling money to the NFL, to the NBA, and to the NCAA.
Which is what those leagues want.
Right. But West Virginia and Marshall are going to receive dollars from sports gambling in the state of West Virginia. Another layer. How much money does Florida State stand to make from legalized sports betting? That'll be an interesting question.
It will be, and that is a much more convoluted situation than just what's going to happen within my state or your state or anybody else's state and how soon they can, gamble.
Well, when we're talking about the arms race here, I'm sure Florida State, and Miami will all make the same amount of money if there is any equality at all in the provisions of the law. But how much does Florida as a state make against other states in the Southeast? And so does Florida State end up making a little bit of money to close the gap between, say, itself and a Clemson or an Alabama or an SEC power, where the TV network dollars aren't there? I'm always looking for those extra dollars.
Yes, you are, buddy.
And maybe gambling will get us into a nicer position to make the upgrades we need when we need them.
So the places that already have what are known as brick and mortar places, institutions where you can go in and gamble are set to take off. Jersey, for example, a few other states have that in place. Obviously, all of Las Vegas, that's what that whole city is built on. But most states don't have something like that in place. So the key then becomes how soon till they're built, erected, and operating efficiently, and moreover, how soon, once they are people able to utilize online and or apps for those books, for those different gambling sites. So that would, that's exciting to me, obviously, that soon enough, Florida whoever has it, will offer up the ability to bet online.
There's an awful lot of sorting out to do, which has me wondering how long it's going to take for it actually to be able to work as easily as an app or to get in your car and go to a certain place, because I'm sure there's going to be appeals and extra provisions given to certain institutions over other. I mean, there's a lot of battling to be done here in Tallahassee especially.
My argument, going back to last hour, and we'll move on from this, is that here's the deal. If you're somebody who's forward thinking, like people in the NBA, then you embrace legal sports gambling, and you do so because legal, heavily regulated gambling markets overseen by licensed officials with a set of rules and regulations provided by sports governing bodies with the ability to restrict or prohibit it is the safest way to control and ensure the integrity of these sports and these events. Not the other way, not the ways that we've seen where the underhanded, seedy, illegal gambling rackets take place. And so, I mean, those are always the places that actually catch when something's not on the up and up. You go all the way back to even some of those, was it 30 for 30s, where Vegas was the one catching college basketball teams doing something wrong, or players.
Yeah.
Vegas was the one that sees the irregularity and says, that's not right. We've seen each time they've played at this time with this guy, this is what's occurring here. Keep a closer eye. They'll actually call the authorities to say, we think something's not right with this official or this coach or this player. And they alert the governing bodies of the league and certainly the law to the fact that something's fishy.
But this also brings up another good point, which is if it's going to be left to the states, will these institutions, because I would think it's in their own best interest, take it upon themselves to communicate with one another across state lines to make sure things aren't getting out of hand? There's no regulation that says they must. So if let's say that Tampa, right, there's a good candidate for a place with a lot of gambling, sports gambling. Let's say Tampa wants to pick up the phone and call Las Vegas and say, hey, you seen anything here? I've got a lot of weird action on Miami and, Miami, North Carolina. You guys seen anything over there? I just wonder if there's going to be communication across state lines, because in essence, they could be 30 separate, autonomous governing bodies.
This will be certainly a time will tell type thing. I mean, that's all we can do now. It's just that as of today, it's open now for states to decide, and that's a step in the right direction, says Big Daddy J. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Landowners, your Mahindra dealer is ready to help you save during Mahindra's Red Tag Sale. Enjoy up to $7,900 in tractor cash back and savings, or utility vehicle savings up to $1,700. Plus, Mahindra's industry-leading warranties still come standard. So hurry in for Mahindra's Red Tag Savings.
TNT. When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Live in Tallahassee, Florida, on the lot of the Kraft Nissan dealership. All vehicles will be sold by Monday, and when it's over, it's over. Mention this ad.
This Kraft Nissan sale positively ends Monday, May 14th.
Don't just listen to The Jeff Cameron Show. Watch it live. The Jeff Cameron Show Streamcast. Live weekdays 3 to 6 p.m. Head to ESPNTallahassee.com today to watch live or catch up on demand. The Jeff Cameron Show Streamcast. Brought to you by Nice Tire and Auto, your trusted Goodyear dealer.
Nice Tire and Auto, just minutes away from FSU campus.
And now, Jeff and Eddie wasting time when they're supposed to be recording a commercial.
What were we drinking? It was tall. I just remember there was a lot of it.
And it was cold, and it was
so hot outside.
Man.
It was crazy.
I couldn't even breathe.
Truck, and then the truck came up with the dude.
Oh, that guy.
Food was good.
Yeah, the food's always good.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
There's big savings today, up to $1,000 off at TNT Supercenter on the brand new QuietTech Yamaha gas golf carts. The new Yamaha technology combines the quietness of electric with the dependability of gas and the very first independent rear suspension ever found in a golf car. Choose from over 30 new gas Yamahas, including 4-passenger Adventure Sports and the 6-passenger Concierge. Ask about zero down and low interest financing with approved credit. And TNT delivery is free from Valdosta to Tallahassee. Just in at TNT Supercenter, a special fleet purchase of 2016 Club Car Precedent golf cars. These like-new Club Car golf cars at TNT Supercenter are $27.99, including the charger and windshield, only at TNT Supercenter. And only while they last, just $27.99. Zero down and low-interest financing available with approved credit. And delivery is free from Valdosta to Tallahassee. US 19 South, next to the Dairy Queen in Thomasville. View inventory and pricing at TNTSupercenter.com. TNT Supercenter, Thomasville, Georgia.
Fonville Lewis Messer McConaughey sponsors Braves baseball so that all of you can enjoy the action. Ever since the days of Hank Aaron and Dale Murphy, we've been Tallahassee's home run hitting law firm. And because we don't get paid unless we win, we want to win every case as much as Chipper Jones wanted to win every game. So when you're injured, don't just trust any law firm to handle your case. Make the call to the bullpen for a trusted closer. To see our stats on the back of our baseball card, visit wrongfullyinjured.com. Fonville Lewis Messer McConaughey. Personal injury law is all we do.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Here's what's happening. The Supreme Court gave a go-ahead for states to allow gambling on sports across the nation, voting 6-3, striking down a federal law that banned betting on football, basketball, baseball, and other sports in most states. New Jersey plans to be the first state to allow legal sports betting. The NBA Western Conference Finals matchup we've waited for all season long gets underway tonight when the Rockets welcome the Warriors in the opener. One of the key matchups, James Harden and Chris Paul versus Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. Harden and Paul have to hit their shots for Houston to have a chance, notes ESPN's Jalen Rose.
Because if it doesn't go in, a couple of things happen when you isolate so much. You don't get second chance points, which means you're clearly not getting offensive rebounds. And here's the thing you watch for. You shoot late in the shot clock. Yeah. It's under 4 every time you're taking a shot under duress. And that is no way to consistently miss the big shot, make a living against the Golden State Warriors.
Pre-game coverage of game number 1, 8 Eastern, ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. From ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski, the Bucks and Raptors focusing on former Hawks coach Mike Budenholzer in their head coaching searches. After dropping game 1, Golden Knights seek to bounce back in game 2 of the NHL's Western Conference Final tonight against the Jets in Winnipeg. NFL, Texans coach Bill O'Brien says quarterback Deshaun Watson on schedule to be in training camp in July. Watson's recovering from a torn ACL in his right knee. 3-time Pro Bowler D'Angelo Hall announcing that he's retiring after 14 NFL seasons. Serena Williams' coach told WTATennis.com He's confident she will be at Roland Garros for the second Grand Slam of the year on May 27th, the French Open. He added that Williams, who lost at Miami and Indian Wells in March, returned to play too soon after giving birth in September.
Live from the AmeriGas Propane Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Hearing our conversation about where we're at with Florida State or not with Florida State brings the question from Michael, do we have the pieces in place of our linebacker core to get back to the glory days of Derek Brooks or Shade Tree? No, not currently. We can be a lot better than we've been. I think we can go a long way in improving linebacker play just with improved coaching alone. Bill Miller was not doing a great job, just let's put it that way, but do I think that Emmett Rice or Dontavius Jackson or Josh Brown or anybody like that is going to be the likes of Derek Brooks or, God forbid, Shade Tree? No, I don't. But I think they can be good players. So we'll see.
It's a different position these days, too. But I think if you're going to have a candidate, it would be Dontavius, who lost an awful lot of weight and looks like he's excited to play, isn't he? A lean, mean hitting machine. The whole thing that I worry about in a situation like that is it's almost like when we acquired Swaggy Baker down in Tampa. Did you go bad because the coaching staff was at lost, or when things go bad, you go bad? We'll find out if there's adversity this season, but I hope it was just that it was a complete and utter disaster, and that's why we had some kids shut down on us rather than it's in their nature to shut down.
Yeah, and let's not forget about DeKellen Brooks, right? I mean, who is
turned heads,
and Amari Gaynor, the freshman. I'm excited about too. I'm not trying to exclude guys here. There are some guys who potentially I think can play at a high level and play certainly at a much higher level than we've seen our linebacking core play. One of the things I just want to see again, I'll say this just while we're talking about defense, and I have a suspicion we will. I'm kind of excited to see this defense play, but. Can we please get back to where we're getting after the quarterback? Brian Burns and Josh Kando, can we be a tear off the edge and get after the quarterback? I'd like to feel like if it's 3rd and 8, there's a good chance somebody gets pasted. That if it's 3rd and 8, somebody's going to have to get the ball out of their damn hands with relative quickness or suffer the consequences. And I haven't felt that way for either my college or pro football team, and unfortunately, too long.
Because even if they do get rid of the ball, they will pay the price. And even if they do convert, well, next time they're going to think about something.
Yeah, I just don't feel like opposing offenses had a lot to worry about with us on 3rd and long. We were either telegraphing where we were coming from and by whom, or there just weren't guys that could consistently garner that kind of pressure.
That's the fundamental frustration I had with the way we use Derwin this year. Is it better to have Derwin in coverage if we can't get home, or is it better to bring him and it makes the coverage around us, around all 11 of those defenders better, because people need to know that 3 is trying to kill them in football terms, of course.
Sure. Yeah, I was very frustrated with, the defense wasn't a sieve last year. The defense wasn't dreadful last year, but they also weren't dynamic. They didn't do anything to turn heads and to I think enforce their will and dictate terms in games all that much, and they certainly didn't turn the football over. You just didn't see it. And I know that turnovers and turnover luck and all of that is a thing that you really can't count on year to year, but you can do things that elicit the kind of pressure that lead to turnovers, and you can create havoc plays that result in turnovers. Now, whether or not you scoop and score, or get the tip passes to go your way and pick it off and take it to the house and all that stuff, some of that's just random. But you can create situations, certainly when down and distance leverage is in your favor, to begin to have, enforce the turnovers. So I want to see an attacking defense. I want to see a defense that gets after the quarterback, that is able to create negative plays. And that doesn't always have to be in the form of turnovers, but, Tackles for loss is a big damn deal, and I'd like to see a lot more of them.
Well, the good thing about where we want to go on defense and what's going on, at least when it comes to building the team's morale back up, you build a family feel that lends itself towards aggressive defense, physical defense, because it's like you've talked about over the years, different examples of one man makes a tackle and here come the other 10.
There.
Yeah. Swarm to the football. Those types
celebrate each other.
They're intangibles, but they make all the difference, and you see it. When you see it, you know exactly what's going on there. That's a group that likes to play together. They don't mind that somebody else is going to get the glory of the TFL on the play. They know they did their job, and they're going to get theirs sooner than later.
Well, and one thing about playing defense, really in any sport, but I think it's especially true of football, there's a lot of want to involved in defense. Got to move your feet. And you got to be willing to pay a price. You're sacrificing your body oftentimes so that others can come up and make the play, as you were just noting. I mean, a run fit is a tough ask. You better love the guy next to you. You better have a sense of camaraderie that you're talking about and togetherness and love and passion for the sport and for each other to lay it on the line and sacrifice that way. And what comes with that typically is a passion and a tenacity that is readily seen on game days. That's infectious, man. It just is. It's the ultimate team game. We say it constantly, but defense, man, when you have an attacking defense, that 2013 team was uber talented, but they were also tenacious and nasty. They wanted to destroy people, and they fed off of each other. With each dominant play or big play on defense, it begat another big play. It was a one-upmanship, but fear, intimidation, love, speed, nastiness, intelligence, it was all on display.
Yeah, I think the hard part here for Willie is what happens if we lose a game or two in our first 4?
Very well could.
Because those habits, you wonder, I think there's going to have to be another wave of kind of reteaching a mentality. Adversity can bring back the old habits. So I don't think the job is done. I don't think we've erased the problems of last year simply through the chase and one camp together and fall camp before the season starts. It doesn't work like that. These kids have a couple of years of negative reinforcement going back to, when we started to slide, lose 3+ games a year for the last 3 years. So if they're veterans and we lose a couple of games early or 2 out of the first 5 or 6, there's still some coaching to be done. There's still some winning over of morale to be done. I don't think it's just as simple as you've cleaned it up in a camp.
Well, losing... let's do this again here. Let's go through that schedule. It's Virginia Tech right off the bat, which we all know and that we're looking forward to. But you got Samford, Syracuse, and Northern Illinois. So I got to imagine that from that point forward, you're 3-1 at worst. From there, it's at Louisville, at Miami, and that's to your point.
So through 6 games, you have 3 losable games.
Yeah, and if you lose all 3, then the test would begin indeed. Do you pick yourself up off the map and find a way to compete with what are some very important games moving forward, including NC State, Clemson, Notre Dame, and Florida? Otherwise you're in danger of having a similar season to the one you had a year ago. They're also not going to lose every one of those losable games to start the year. That first one, I dare say, is a big one. Not just because of the name of the opponent and when it's being played on a Monday night, ESPN, the nation watching your debut, Willie Taggart and staff. That's heavy. It's exciting to talk about and say aloud. But it's important because I think it's imminently winnable. Of the tougher games on the schedule, I would favor Florida State to win that one more than I would some of the others. You need to get your home games, establish a home field advantage, establish a dominance at Doak Campbell Stadium when you're a new regime. That's good to do for anybody anywhere, but especially, when you're first starting, coming into a place like this needs to be a house of horrors for opposing ACC teams.
Well, the fans will give you that for the opener. There's no question. That's going to be a rabid stadium.
Yeah, and I think your schedule is bookended by 2 very, very winnable games. And, in fact, 2 games that while the opponent is a name opponent and that on paper you could certainly lose if you don't play well, you ought to beat both Virginia Tech and Florida. So now you look at the meat and potatoes of the schedule, and it turns out that it's the road Miami game, the home Clemson game, and the road Notre Dame game. There are other losable games, but those are the big 3 if you remove the bookended games that you then have to, you can't lose all 3. You can have a good season if you win one of those 3 and win those first and last, you can go 9-3 and have a very good season. Everything else, I think, would be gravy. If you were to win, say, at Miami or home at home against Clemson, if you were to win one of those two, to go along with your win against Virginia Tech and Florida, you'd be in the midst of a good season.
Yeah, the Virginia Tech, because it's the opener at home, I can understand where you feel like you should win it, but and I think you know this too. I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but that's a different class of opponent. Virginia Tech is than Florida. Florida's in the midst of something wrong right now, and Virginia Tech has a quarterback.
But they'll be better. They'll be better coached. I mean, they're not going to. There won't be in the middle of a lost campaign with a coach who's a dead man walking. They'll be an inspired club that will play to their talent level. They haven't played to their talent level in years. They'll get better quarterback play by virtue of Dan Mullen being there. So, yes, they've got a larger mountain to climb than Florida State does. That's true. But they're not devoid of talent.
Right, but how talented are we was a question, right? How talented is Florida? Yikes. I mean, the thing about Virginia Tech is you've got a second-year quarterback now, understands the system, won't have the jitters. I mean, if he was making his first career start and it was at Doak, I got you. I mean, I think this it could get ugly in our favor, and it might not teach us a whole lot. But Virginia Tech will have something for us, and I get by the end of the year, Florida will be a different version of itself than at the beginning.
Well, that's what I mean. They'll be better than,
It's lipstick on a pig, I think, by the end of the season. They're bad. They're just really, I mean, good Lord with the recruiting. It's been terrible.
Yeah, it's really tragic to see, Tom, see all that play out. I'm really more curious than anything else. When we get into fall camp, can you please tell? I'm rooting for this, folks. And I know I got it. If I'm a Miami fan, I say, hey, he beat you guys last year. Oh, I got you. You also know I'm right. Let Malik Rozier start again this year. Let's all root for it. I hope that young man takes great strides, Tom, this offseason, works his way into a position to hold off N'Kosi Perry and win that job. He's a sterling example of a college football player and student athlete, Tom. I think Malik Rozier deserves every opportunity to hold on to his job and give the Miami Hurricanes another year of fine quarterback play, at least through October the 6th. Maybe when they go into a bye week or something, they can reassess the situation.
I'd prefer him to do just enough. Well, it's 50-50. We got to go with the incumbent
more
here.
Experienced guy. You and me both, buddy. Come on, Malik Rozier, hang in there.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Landowners, your Mahindra dealer is ready to help you save during Mahindra's Red Tag Sale. Enjoy up to $7,900 in tractor cash back and savings, or utility vehicle savings up to $1,700. Plus, Mahindra's industry-leading warranties still come standard. So hurry in for Mahindra's Red Tag Savings.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Law firm to handle your case. Make the call to the bullpen for a trusted closer. To see our stats on the back of our baseball card, visit wrongfullyinjured.com. Fonville Lewis Messer McConaughey. Personal injury law is all we do.
I'm Fred Conrad, and I'm a criminal defense lawyer.
I believe your freedom is too important to trust to an inexperienced lawyer. For over 20 years, I've successfully defended those accused of DUI, drug offenses, and a host of other misdemeanor and felony offenses. My office is located in my hometown, and as a third-generation Tallahassee native, former local prosecutor and law enforcement instructor, I have the skills and experience necessary to handle your case. When you call my office, you will talk to me, and I'll personally handle your case. So don't blow it. Call me at 222-4005 or go to fredconrad.com.
For better gas mileage and a longer-lasting engine, change your vehicle's oil at Superlube every 3 months or 3,000 miles, whichever comes first. For good times and family fun, Tallahassee heads to the Fun Station. And right now, when you change your oil at Superlube, you'll get a $15 Fun Station gift card. You don't need an appointment. You'll be in and out in no time. And with 19 Tallahassee area Superlubes, there's probably one right around the corner right now.
How I love to Superlube my car. Yes, sir.
Beat the Heat, Tallahassee's only indoor soccer camp on a full turf field. All sessions will take place at the indoor facility on the campus of FSU June 11th through the 14th. The staff creates an environment that promotes soccer confidence, enjoyment, and good sportsmanship. Full and half-day options available. Registration is now open for boys and girls age 5 to 18. Camps are open to any and all entrants and are only limited by age, grade, number, or gender as listed in the camp description. To register, go to SeminolesSoccerCamps.com. That's SeminolesSoccerCamps.com.
Congratulations, you are now a licensed drone pilot. But what should you do next to elevate your business to new heights? Learn how to package your drone photography by enrolling in TCC's Wakulla Environmental Institute's Drone Business Video Production course. Don't wait, seats are limited. Go to tcc.fl.edu and search drone today or call 850-558-3500. Learn how to package your drone photography so that you can get your drone business started. Go to tcc.fl.edu and search drone for drone education at TCC's Wakulla Environmental Institute. Class starts June 14th.
I'm the manager of tire sales at Firestone Complete Auto Care. I got my driver's license when I was 17. Back my truck started fishtailing. That's the reason why you want good tires. They need to be able to cut through that water so that you don't lose control. My name is Gary, and I'm proud to keep your car running newer, longer.
Come get our best deal on Firestone tires this summer. Check driveafirestone.com or your local Firestone Complete Auto Care for more details. Whatever you drive, drive a Firestone.
An eager young FSU marketing major came into Poor Paul's the other day and told me what a genius he thought I was for having such great specials, like the free ladies' drinks on Tuesday nights, the free Gumby's pizza and $4.95 pitchers on Sunday and Monday night, and the cheapest prices in town every other night. And not to mention, all the free beer people wouldn't spin in the wheel of fortune. He asked me if I'd studied marketing, and I told him I had, but what I didn't tell the poor guy was that in 4 years, I didn't learn a damn thing in any of my classes. Most of my business philosophy came from observing a girl named Bunny, who lived across from me and was, let's say, working her way through school. You see, Bunny had a great service, sold it at rock-bottom prices with a smile, and had hundreds of happy customers. And aside from that little red light in her window, all her advertising was simply word of mouth. So I didn't see the need for all those charts and graphs and formulas. I knew all I needed to be successful were the Bunny marketing methods. Sell really good stuff, cheap, with a smile. And that's why, just like at Bunny's, there's always a big crowd at Poor Paul's wanting to spend their money. And that's why that poor kid thought I was so smart. Who's your buddy?
It's time to get your chop on as our Atlanta Braves continue to roll through the big NL East battles and into the summer.
The 3-2 pitch, here it comes, and there it goes. It's fair, it's long, it's in the chop house.
Atlanta Braves baseball on 97.9 ESPN Radio is brought to you in part by Fonville, Lewis, Messer, and McConaughey, and by Metro Deli in downtown Tallahassee. Head to ESPNTallahassee.com/Braves. Driving every day from the AmeriGas studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Here's what's happening. The Supreme Court gave a go-ahead for states to allow gambling on sports across the nation, voting 6-3, striking down a federal law that banned betting on football, basketball, baseball, and other sports in most states. New Jersey plans to be the first state to allow legal sports betting. The NBA Western Conference Finals matchup we've waited for all season long gets underway tonight when the Rockets welcome the Warriors in the opener. One of the key matchups, James Harden and Chris Paul versus Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. Harden and Paul have to hit their shots for Houston to have a chance, notes ESPN's Jalen Rose.
Because if it doesn't go in, a couple of things happen when you isolate so much. You don't get second chance points, which means you're clearly not getting offensive rebounds. And here's the thing you watch for. You shoot late in the shot clock. Yeah. It's under 4 every time you're taking a shot under duress. And that is no way to consistently miss the big shot, make a living against the Golden State Warriors.
Pre-game coverage of game number 1, 8 Eastern, ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. From ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski, the Bucks and Raptors focusing on former Hawks coach Mike Budenholzer in their head coaching searches. After dropping game 1, Golden Knights seek to bounce back in game 2 of the NHL's Western Conference Final tonight against the Jets in Winnipeg. NFL, Texans coach Bill O'Brien says quarterback Deshaun Watson on schedule to be in training camp in July. Watson's recovering from a torn ACL in his right knee. 3-time Pro Bowler D'Angelo Hall announcing that he's retiring after 14 NFL seasons. Serena Williams' coach told WTAtennis.com he's confident she will be at Roland Garros for the second Grand Slam of the year on May 27th, the French Open. He added that Williams, who lost at Miami and Indian Wells in March, returned to play too soon after giving birth in September.
Live from the AmeriGas Propane Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Final hour of the Jeff Cameron Show, at least for today. Thanks for tuning to it. Appreciate you as always. I'm Jeff. That's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free. Always. Don't miss anything. If you do, remember this. You can get caught up at your leisure. All 3 hours posted every day upon the conclusion of the show, both on iTunes and in our own audio vault. That's a good thing. Email the show if you like, JCS at 979 ESPNradio.com. On Twitter, it's at JCameronShow. WTSM app for your mobile devices as well. If you want to watch YouTube, ESPN Tallahassee. It was an easy jaunt at the ballpark over the weekend for the baseball team, which cruised to 4 wins over a seriously outmatched opponent. I know that every year at this time, I should say, that they take on a lesser tier opponent just after exams. It just felt all the more like a frivolous, sort of futile, silly series, just the seriously outmatched nature of it all. But anyhow, Florida State wins those 4 games. Now has to concentrate. Coming up this Thursday through Saturday against NC State. Real big series there if they're going to try to hold on to hope anyhow that they can be a top 8 national seed. Right now they're on the outside looking in on that front.
Yeah, I don't know the nuances of what they were looking at and how they could have scheduled what windows they had, but, Stetson's a top 10 team. Might they have had a cancellation where they might want to schedule an extra game, just an opportunity to bolster your RPI rather than hurt it. But,
I agree. I like that. I'm always for steeper competition in baseball where you have so many games and it's decided in a tournament format in the postseason anyhow, because I think the more you're tested and the more you test your resolve in certain situations, the better prepared you are for when the rubber meets the road in the postseason and you're in tense situations, as opposed to bludgeoning somebody 20-something to nothing or 15-2. And the level of pitching is such that, high school teams are going to have some success against them. That doesn't do anybody any real good. I know you're going to argue that it builds confidence. Next time you step in the box after you've had a 5-for-5 day and hit a grand slam, you feel like you can hit against anybody. The reality is when that anybody throws 3 pitches for strikes and locates, you're quickly stripped of any notion that anything you garnered against a subpar opponent is going to carry over into the next game. So, anyhow, they won their games. That's what they were supposed to do. And now we'll await the NC State game. Congratulations to the women's softball team and the women's tennis team, both of which came up with huge wins. The ladies to win the ACC on a walk-off 3-run homer. They overcome a 4-1 deficit to rip the hearts from the players there at Texas and win it with 2 outs. in grand fashion, walk-off fashion, I should say. Congratulations to them. And the tennis team that knocked off the University of Florida in Gainesville 4-3 to go to the Sweet 16. Second time in program history that's happened. Really cool moment there. So that's what went on in Florida State sports.
Well, and obviously last week you had the women's golf team advancing to the NCAAs. They came out of their own region, which was, hey, right here in our own backyard at the Don. And then the men, are you doing a show this Wednesday?
I am. Trey's going to be leaving Norman, Oklahoma. They're in Norman right now, where I believe they're just outside that top 5. They got to finish in the top 5 in order to move on. There are 14 teams in these regionals. There are, I believe, 6 regionals. They got sent to Norman, Oklahoma. OU is playing as well as anybody in the country. They're the defending national champions, I might add, is Oklahoma.
They're the only team to shoot under par today as well. So they're in a commanding first-place lead through the first day of that 3-day regional.
Yeah, they're expected to come out of there for a couple of reasons. They're really good. They're playing on their home golf course, and there are added pressures that come with hosting. But when you have a familiarity with the golf course and the winds are whipping, obviously you have an advantage to playing in those conditions. So it's not surprising to hear that. Again, Florida State will have to battle, finish in that top 5. It's a tough region. If they do, they go on to the national championships, not the national championship game, but they go on to what would be considered the championships, and you play in there.
Yeah, there's eliminations as it goes on.
Right. So anyhow, we'll cross our fingers that happens. And yes, we are scheduled to do the show on the PGA Tour Network this Wednesday night. I think by and large that show is going to be me this Wednesday night. Me. It looks a lot of talking.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be close. I mean, they're not out of it by any stretch. They're one place out of first, and 4 shots is not much when you have 4 people post per day.
Right.
But, they're sleeping tight saying, all right, need a big day tomorrow.
You need Harry Ellis to show up, and I hate to say that about the young man who's a special kid. Gotten to know him a little bit, like him very much. Got a chance to follow him around at Augusta National this year and see him play the Masters, but I found this out. I found out any of these schools, any of these universities that have a kid play in Augusta or play for the play in the Masters, it is awfully tough, especially if they're in their final year. You build to that because you're about to turn pro and you're trying to get your ducks in a row. Then you're playing the most prestigious tournament in the world, and it's very difficult to concentrate on being a collegiate golfer with your team and doing the things necessary to help that team win. It's just it's a weird deal because in a lot of ways it's an individual sport, and in this capacity played as a team. And it can be difficult to marry those two when you have all these other individual responsibilities. Just collective mindset, it can be very difficult. We shall see, knock on wood, that they come out of that and end up playing well and finding their way on to the next round. Big news today was that the Supreme Court decided that PASPA, that's PASPA, the Professional and Amateur Sports Protection Act of 1992, is not constitutional. They threw it out. That's the end of that. The Supreme Court ruled in favor of New Jersey, and in doing so, what has happened now with PASPA being considered unconstitutional, that law being repealed, states can pursue legalized sports betting as they choose, and they'll move forward here. And the wrangling, as Tom and I have been talking about off and on all day, will begin. And but it's exciting. I mean, immediately New Jersey begins sports betting, Monmouth Park and all that, William Hill Sportsbook. Sportsbooks will start cropping up. Obviously, that will be regulated. There's a governing body for all of that, and it will be interesting to see which states now decide to try to make some serious cash off of all of this. The state of Florida, no doubt, will be one of them.
What do you know? Big Sal's waste disposal business is reclassified to a gambling ring. Hey, a legal one at that. Go figure.
The Boston Celtics dispatch of Cleveland. I'm not surprised with a Game 1 win for Boston. Not even surprised that a Game 1 win for Boston was as one-sided as it was. All you got to do is look at Cleveland and Tyronn Lue and the poor job he does with that team, especially in Game 1s. They really should have lost every Game 1 in these playoffs. Got lucky to win the one against Toronto when Toronto collapsed. Cleveland never even had the lead in regulation in that game, but they did lose to Indiana, and then they got blown out here to Boston. Boston will defend. Boston's extremely well coached. LeBron now has to adjust to what he's seen from Boston. Certainly Tyronn Lue ain't going to do it. So we'll go from there, and we'll see if this series does indeed go 7. I have a suspicion that it will. And if you were, a sporting guy or gal and you took that series to go more than 6, then Game 1, really did some things for you. Game 1 tonight of Golden State and Houston, which is the one we've all been waiting for, gets tipped off tonight at 9 o'clock. Meanwhile, on the ice, hockey, we'll see if Vegas can bounce back after losing Game 1 4-2. I'm kind of curious there. I have an inkling here. I'm a little concerned that both the Lightning and Vegas are going to be dispatched of rather easily in the way that these games have played out so far.
It could be. Winnipeg blocked an awful lot of point-blank chances in Game 1.
They did, yeah. And they got off to such a hot start. It was 3-0 before you opened your eyes.
Right.
Yeah.
I think Vegas has a chance, but it's a different scenario, though. If Vegas loses tonight, at least it's going back home.
That is correct.
Down 0-2, whereas Tampa is getting on the road going to the nation's capital down 0-2. Something that happened 15 years ago. The Lightning lost the first 2 games in that series, went on to beat the Capitals in 6. So I'd love for history to repeat itself 15 years later.
Yeah, the Lightning have been depantsed through the first 2 games of this series. This hasn't been flukish. This has been earned, and it has been something to behold, be dismayed by, if you will. By the way, can I just say that as we go through the weekend of all the sports, and I'll talk some later about Sawgrass and all that stuff, and obviously that turned out to be interesting for you and I who love golf and a lot of things that went on in that tournament, but really from it's Webb Simpson boat racing the field. The best record in the National League is your Atlanta Braves, everybody. I know we thought the Braves were on the rise. They were a team on the come. They were a team that had young talent. They were a team that you thought real soon were going to be really competitive. I know how many of our listeners are diehard Braves fans. You know I am not one of them. But at the same time, I don't loathe and disdain the Braves the way that I once did. It's not true. I've moved on from those years, so far removed from 1992, if you will. And I'll just say that, we carry the Atlanta Braves right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio. And right now, if you're a Braves fan, you're in hog heaven because that young talent is coming through.
It is. And listen, they're a division rival in the 90s. There weren't many teams I liked less than the Braves.
This is a likable group, though.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
I can't go that far, but I agree with your logic.
Yeah.
If I wasn't a Met, I'd completely agree with your logic. It's always more fun on the way up, too, because you haven't found the guy to attach, a negative emotion to.
Well, you haven't lost emotional series to them yet in wars in the postseason, et cetera. They haven't been there to do that.
But you're in luck this week, folks, because we have the Braves on a bunch starting tomorrow night. They had a makeup game with Chicago earlier today. I don't know what the score was, but they play Chicago for 3. Back home in Atlanta this week, and we got all of those for you.
6-4, Braves lead the Cubs currently in the 9th inning.
There you go. Win it again.
Keep it on, Atlanta.
Good Lord.
It is rather amazing. You know what else is amazing, Tom Lang? What's amazing is the word is more properly stated.
Amazing.
You know what's amazing? I'll tell you what's amazing. My pillow. My pillow is something. You could have a My Pillow, too. All you got to do is go to mypillow.com. MyPillow.com, 97.9 ESPN promo code. You could do that. Or I could just tell you in regular terms.
Is that My Pillar?
That would be My Pillow. Go to MyPillow.com. Click on the 4-pack special and enter the promo code 979 ESPN to find out what I'm talking about. You'll get, when you do that, 2 My Pillow premium pillows and 2 Go Anywhere pillows for half off. Go to MyPillow.com, click on the 4-pack special, and enter the promo code 979 ESPN, or you can dial the number 1-800-944-6596. Once again, when they ask you, what you calling for there, fella? You say, I want one of them My Pillow deals. I want the 4-pack. 979 ESPN special. So they'll say, well, that's to be celebrated, and we can't wait to send you those pillows. What's your address, sir, ma'am, if you don't mind? I know you're anxious to get through the night with uninterrupted sleep. Please give us your address. Anyhow, so the point would be go to mypillow.com and use the 979 ESPN code or call 800-944-6596. Again, using the 979 ESPN code.
It sounds like that caller would be interested to know that these are made in the good old US of A.
Indeed. Where else? You can toss a My Pillow, hey now, in your washer. Mm-hmm. Hey, you can do that and then throw it in your dryer. What? And guess what happens? Comes out like new, never losing its form.
More cushion for the sleeping.
Nicely played. 10-year warranty on that there pillow. MyPillow.com. Get that 4-pack special, kids. I'm not kidding you. I like that pillow. I sleep on it every night. Slept on it last night. Now you can too. Hey, how about that? Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Landowners, your Mahindra dealer is ready to help you save during Mahindra's Red Tag Sale. Enjoy up to $7,900 in tractor cash back and savings, or utility vehicle savings up to $1,700. Plus, Mahindra's industry-leading warranties still come standard. So hurry in for Mahindra's Red Tag Savings.
TNT. When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Load off. About the last thing you want to do is hours of laundry, but there it sits, staring at you, taunting. No more. That's right. More watching, less washing. Save hours of valuable time when you sign up not doing laundry with Easy Laundry Service from Wash Around the Clock. Whether it's dry cleaning or just plain laundry, Wash Around the Clock's Easy Laundry Service will pick up and deliver at your home or office. So sign up for free today at easylaundry.net, or you can give them a call, 850-597-9007. Again, sign up today at easylaundry.net. Oh, and by the way, I got you. Use promo code JCS20 and save 20%. That's promo code JCS20. You're saving 20% on your first order. That's easylaundry.net from Wash Around the Clock.
There's big savings today, up to $1,000 off at TNT Supercenter on the brand new QuietTech Yamaha gas golf cars. The new Yamaha technology combines the quietness of electric with the dependability of gas and the very first independent rear suspension ever found in a golf car. Choose from over 30 new gas Yamahas, including 4-passenger Adventure Sports and the 6-passenger Concierge. Ask about zero down and low interest financing with approved credit. And TNT delivery is free from Valdosta to Tallahassee. Just in at TNT Supercenter, a special fleet purchase of 2016 Club Car Precedent golf cars. These like-new Club Car golf cars at TNT Supercenter are $27.99, including the charger and windshield, only at TNT Supercenter, and only while they last. Just $27.99. Zero down and low-interest financing available with approved credit, and delivery is free from Valdosta to Tallahassee, US 19 South, next to the Dairy Queen in Thomasville. View inventory and pricing at TNTSupercenter.com. TNT Supercenter, Thomasville, Georgia.
The Starlight Lounge presents An Evening with the Progressive Box.
Oh, what a great audience. Let's dim the lights for this next one. Nope, too much. There it is. Gotta get things just right. Like Progressive's Name Your Price tool. Tell us what you want to pay, and we help you find coverage options that fit your budget. And now, the mood is right. Wait, the lights are back on again. Trudy, can you? And now it's completely dark.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
And now Jeff and Eddie waste my time instead of recording a commercial.
I know we got to record this one, but remember that time with the thing and the guy?
Oh, and then we did that.
It was by the pool. It was by
right,
the pool.
and then
that guy jumped. The one guy
with the Speedo.
That was ridiculous.
Man, what a day! And then the guy
came up with the food.
The truck.
He didn't even know.
You know,
had no idea.
And how about those girls?
If we could only recreate that, ridiculous. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
You're listening to the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
97.9 ESPN Radio. Thanks, Webb Simpson, for making the Sawgrass boring as hell. You don't see people do what he did this week unless their name is Tiger Woods in the early 2000s. That's incredible.
It is, and they were going through the numbers because Webb was one of those guys that I would put on my blacklist. I could never root for them again. He was an anchor putter. He would anchor it into the belly before the ruling rightfully changed, and it said that you can't cheat anymore, Webb. But I guess he's found his new method, and he's done so at a level that most other people who have gone astray from the belly putter, they can't do it. So Adam Scott's around 200 in the world in putting, and Keegan Bradley was around 200 in the world.
Struggled.
And this dude has figured it out by lining it up on his forearm, and now he's a winner again.
Which I also think is shaky, but it is allowed. And he made everything the first 3 days. So much so that he didn't have to do anything yesterday. Now, I say do nothing, but, I mean, he just basically had to go out and shoot par, which is a lot easier said than done, so I shouldn't take it away. But that's because he made everything the first 3 days. Literally everything. It's insane. Credit to him, man. It's a good story. It's there's nothing wrong with him as a winner. I mean, he was a world-class player before, but I just, as fans, it certainly didn't. And if you're a PGA Tour lover, it didn't help, because think about this. If Webb doesn't do what he does through the first 3 days, look at that leaderboard. Look what we're talking about. I mean, going into yesterday, you're talking, and then especially the way the morning went, you end up talking about a leaderboard that's without Webb Simpson running away from the field. It's got a Dustin Johnson, a Justin Thomas, a Tiger Woods, a Jordan Spieth. The list goes on, Jason Duffner, of people that are all there, that are known commodities, that have chances. Can you imagine what that looks like without a minus 19?
It looks like one of the all-time Players' Championships.
Right. It'd be one of the great championships ever. And we were, thanks to Webb's brilliance, we were robbed of it. I will say this. I think it's funny when when you view the world through a certain prism. Tiger Woods at one point has a putt, I think. You correct me if I'm wrong on the hole. I had it on mute. I had it on in the background. He has a putt to get to second, or he is in second, briefly, for a hole, maybe two holes, tied for second.
He's at 14. He's 4 back, I think it was.
He's 4 back. He has a putt to get the 3 back, I believe.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
He misses the putt, yeah. So the point of that is this. On the back nine, at one point, Tiger is tied for second. At another point on the back nine, he's 4th and has 3 holes to play, and he finishes outside the top 10. The number on that, so that is the definition of a bad beat.
Mm-hmm.
If the people that Tiger Woods to finish in the top 10 with 4 holes to play, he's in the top 5. He finished 11th. They lost, I believe one guy lost $10,000 in 3 holes because he threw it in the drink.
Well, yeah, he made quite a few mistakes. Obviously, if you look at the breakdown of his Thursday through Sunday this week at the Players, the first 12 holes he was money in the bank.
He hated the back 9.
He hated the back 9, specifically the home stretch. 14 has always been an issue for him, and they talked about that.
He hasn't birdied 18 in forever and a day.
Right, 17 he ends up going in the drink yesterday, which was the first time in forever. But it's not like he was carving that hole up either. But on 14 yesterday, this is where everything went downhill for Tiger once and for all. He hits it 350 off the tee, and this is a hole where he's put it in the water on Sundays. I mean, he's got straight demons on this hole. He's at 350. He's got a $110, and he has a 60-degree wedge in his hands. And Bones is talking about how he's going to have a one-hop and stop shot with a 60. And I thought, from 110? What the hell kind of trajectory is he going to throw up with that club? That's impossible. Anyway, it spins off the front of the green, and he ends up bogeying the hole, and that was that. He had a chance on number, I believe it was 11, to make an eagle. That's the first par 5 in the back. And it goes just an inch by the hole left. There was a couple of chances for him to put game pressure on Mr. Webb Simpson, but it never got that
when he
close.
gets to 3 or 2, like what could have happened?
At 3 shots back on hole 16, you're in business. And if you could keep it around 3 by the time he gets to 17 tee,
you make him
one in the water, and now you have to hit a good tee shot on 18 in order to win the tournament. It just never got that way. But credit to Webb. I mean, he was unflappable.
Well, and he talked about it being one of the longer rounds of his life, trying to just not make mistakes. It's a weird way when the mentality for the first 3 days is to attack the course and to go for birdies, and you've got such belief and confidence in your game at the moment that you can hit all the shots you want to hit, and then tell yourself on 18, don't do anything. I mean, then tell yourself on the final day on a Sunday, don't do anything dumb. It's a very different mentality, and he did talk about that afterwards, about that. That was hard, to have that big a lead. He had never had that big a lead before in a tournament. Nobody had ever blown a 7-shot lead on a Sunday.
But the funny thing about this weekend,
Not there anyhow.
And maybe it's an oversimplification on my part, probably, because there's Webb Simpson boat racing the field, right? And he's kind of this third-tier player these days. I mean, maybe he's rising back to prominence, but he's not one of the first people you'd pick as a sleeper for a major winner, let alone a favorite. But for Tiger to play alongside Jordan Spieth, and if you think about it, in a way he did it for all 4 days, because they both are on the cut line after 2 days at 1 under par. So they both barely make it to the weekend. They shoot identical scores on Saturday, though they're playing apart.
65.
And then on Sunday, they play together, and Tiger, for the balance of the round, absolutely dominates Jordan Spieth. And I was thinking to myself,
that's gotta be good for Tiger.
Well, that's really good for Tiger, but that's also has to be a little bit demoralizing for the younger player, in that, man, all I do is get compared to this guy. He comes back in his mid-40s, and he's toasting me here in a pseudo-major? That's craziness.
Oh, I think it's awesome, right? Because the idea, imagine now you're Brooks Koepka, last year's U.S. Open champion, and congratulations to Florida State's own Brooks Koepka, who went out there and really had the round of the tournament and was simply spectacular, coming off a pretty serious wrist injury. Brooks says, I don't want to reveal his private thoughts or anything like that. I'm privy to some of those just because of Trey Jones and Florida State, but he was seriously worried, seriously concerned. And the worry was this, not that his game would go away, but that he was going to have surgery. And the kind of injury, by the way, Brooks Koepka had is the kind of injury that some tour players have had that derailed their career. Golfers are very much like baseball players. You don't want to mess with your wrists and hands. You can deal with anything else. Even back fusion. You can have whatever. Your hands and your wrists, it's everything. And he was scared. Maybe I'm overstating it, but I think he was very nervous. So to see him come back and he has an albatross, and it's just amazing. And to have that round is amazing. But to your point, Tom, imagine now you come back and you are one of these young phenoms, and the field is deeper than it's really ever been these days, or than it's been in a long, long time is a better way of saying it. And this 40-something-year-old man comes back with back fusion surgery. He's made 8 starts, and he's come up with multiple top 5s and multiple top 20s. And in more than one occasion this year on the tour, this season, he's outshined Justin Thomas, Brooks Koepka, a Jordan Spieth, a Jason Day, all these guys. It is, you would like to think it would get in their head. We'll see. We need them on a Sunday going head-to-head.
One thing I would say, though, I'm just looking at the eras, and I'm starting to have the discussion before the discussion is had. Let's say that somebody from this era touches 9-10 majors, one of the young superstars, be it Jordan or Justin Thomas, or maybe Dustin gets hot for a couple of years. It doesn't do a whole lot for their greatness in the game argument if a 40-something-year-old Phil Mickelson can win a World Golf Championship and beat Justin Thomas head-to-head in a playoff, or if Tiger can tee off with Jordan Spieth on a Sunday at the Players in his mid-40s and take the kid to school. I get golfers, their careers go longer now because of Tiger's legacy, in that athletes now play the game.
Yeah.
They stay in shape. But still, if you're trying to compare eras, Tiger has just come back from back fusion surgery, and in more than one weekend so far this season, he's made the kids look like they're not in the same class, because Tiger walks off that back 9 yesterday saying, I left 3 or 4 more shots out there.
Shot 65-69 over the weekend. He ends up tied with Justin Thomas, who does come back on the weekend shooting 68-66. But you look at his fellow competitors, the youthful competitors you're talking about. He also tied Brooks Koepka. Koepka gets all the way back to -11 because of the 63 that he shoots yesterday. But he's one shot back of a Tommy Fleetwood. He bests Alex Noren, who's young and talented, up and coming. The only really young guys that outshined Tiger Woods were Jason Day, who once again was very good and continues to be great. When he's right, Jason Day is the one who's, I think, strong enough to
Well, I understand that this course plays so short that Fred Funk won on this course 10 years ago, 15, whatever it was, and he's pushing 50 years old at the time. It can be a bit of a time warp. It's kind of like Augusta or the Open Championship.
Steve Stricker was a top 25 player, and at one point was top 15 with very few holes to play.
But all I'm saying is Tiger is climbing up the ranks awfully quickly for somebody who has had chronic issues in his back, and he should be, given the way that the platitudes are laid before the feet of a Jordan Spieth or a Justin Thomas, he shouldn't have a prayer. But he does.
I like this debate that's going on about the mentalities of these guys, because here's the thing, Brandel Chambly, who we like because he's opinionated and because his opinions are usually rooted in something that he's done a lot of research on. I give him credit, but I don't know that I agree with him for once. It's pretty rare because I usually tend to side with him. He says that he's noted that in these comeback attempts that Tiger Woods, so long as he doesn't have the lead or isn't right there with the leader on a Sunday or even late on a Saturday on a back nine, that Tiger plays exceptionally well, that he continues to chase better than anybody right now. And that's a testament to his comeback, and he gives him credit for all that. But as soon as Tiger got within 4 strokes on whatever it was Saturday, he suddenly went to pieces. Well, here's what I'll say, and he did that on Sunday too. I actually think that was the byproduct of he hates that back nine there. I mean, there are too many moments where that was true consistently so.
Well, I mean, what do you want him to do? Shoot 59 on Saturday? Or do you want him to shoot, go 63 again on a Sunday? That's what's necessary to go win the tournament, but that's a testament to what Webb Simpson has done. It just doesn't work that way where you can go double down and go lower.
Yeah, no, but I think what he would say is that if you finish the front nine and you walk out of there with a 30 on a Saturday or whatever it was, and then you play the back and over, then that it's a different, it's completely contrasted in a way that doesn't make any sense for the round that he had going. Mm-hmm. Other than he starts to think about it. And that's the last thing to come back for a guy is to get back in the fire, like really be in the fire.
Well, here's where I would agree with him. I think he needs a caddy now. I think he's gotten back to such a place where he's misreading putts at key moments. Stevie Williams read a lot of putts
for him. He was the best, yeah.
I wonder how much he covered up because and covered up may sound like strong language for the greatest player, that burned brightest, named Jack for a short period of time. But everybody who was anybody talks about how valuable Stevie was for both mentality, when to hit the gas, when to step off the gas, and around the greens, reading putts.
He was for Greg Norman as well.
Tiger has misread quite a few key putts in weekend situations this season when he's got a chance. And that 1 to 2 shots that we talk about a caddy can give
everything,
you.
Yeah.
What's the difference, between him really putting pressure on Webb this weekend and not?
Man, we should have been caddies, Tom. You were a good enough golfer. You could have been a caddy. If I had picked up a club earlier, maybe. But I think that's the gig right there. Because you get to be in the competition, but you don't have to hit the shots.
Right. It just seems like he's miscalculating. It's not like he's – yeah. He could use a trained eye. Maybe, the ultimate probably the ultimate betrayal, but maybe Bones wants to go work with Tiger.
Woo! Wouldn't that be something?
It's just, it seems like he could use some detail help. Now that he's good enough. When he's an average tour player, who cares? It's a great story. But now that you're close enough to be winning the Players and you're expected to win another major the next 2 or 3 years with the way you're going right now, you might need that extra shot or two that a good caddy could give you.
Call Stevie back. Let's get the team back.
Yeah, what's Adam Scott doing?
Let's
Nothing.
Bring the band back together again. Come on, bring them on and let them yell at patrons. It'll be great. Have them bullying people. Scowl at folks.
Oh, he'll be back.
You would root for that team. You'd root for that team.
Yeah.
You'd be like, oh, those
Give
bastards.
him the best possible chance to succeed, right?
It'd be fun. Come back, wrap it up. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Landowners, your Mahindra dealer is ready to help you save during Mahindra's Red Tag Sale. Enjoy up to $7,900 in tractor cash back and savings, or utility vehicle savings up to $1,700. Plus, Mahindra's industry-leading warranties still come standard. So hurry in for Mahindra's Red Tag Savings.
TNT. When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Out to truck and car concepts. People with their cars, we're number one by far. Bed liners, bed caps, toys to throw your money at. Car stereos, car alarms, things for all you soccer moms. Detail and diamond plate, parts to fix your tailgate. Truck and car concepts. We're your one-stop shop for trimming out your truck. Truck and car concepts. People with their cars, we're number one by far. Exterior accessories, lift kits for your mud needs. Mud tires, nice wheels, everyone will get a deal. Window tinting, that's a must. Come on out and visit us. Truck and car concepts. We're your one-stop shop, we always aim to please. Truck and car concepts. Everything is here from A to Z.
An eager young FSU marketing major came into Poor Paul's the other day and told me what a genius he thought I was for having such great specials, like the free ladies drinks on Tuesday nights, the free Gumby's pizza and $4.95 pitchers on Sunday and Monday night, and the cheapest prices in town every other night. And not to mention, all the free beer people wouldn't spin in the wheel of fortune. He asked me if I'd studied marketing, and I told him I had, but what I didn't tell the poor guy was that in 4 years, I didn't learn a damn thing in any of my classes. Most of my business philosophy came from observing a girl named Bunny, who lived across from me and was, let's say, working her way through school. You see, Bunny had a great service, sold it at rock-bottom prices with a smile, and had hundreds of happy customers. And aside from that little red light in her window, all her advertising was simply word of mouth. So I didn't see the need for all those charts and graphs and formulas. I knew all I needed to be successful were the Bunny marketing methods. Sell really good stuff, cheap with a smile. And that's why, just like at Bunny's, there's always a big crowd at Poor Paul's wanting to spend their money. And that's why that poor kid thought I was so smart. Who's your buddy?
This Day in Sports, brought to you by Superlube. Superlube, 19 Tallahassee area locations. Quick, convenient, no appointment necessary.
This Day in Sports history. May 14th, 2016. 22-year-old Brazilian surfer Gabriel Medina became the first ever surfer to land a backflip during competition. Medina admitted that he had not hit the trick in practice, but just went for it in competition. He simply shrugged his shoulders in surprise when he pulled it off. The feat earned him 5 perfect 10s and the win.
Live from the AmeriGas Propane Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Well, finally tonight we get the game, right? You know, it's weird. In Houston, I didn't know this, Tom, but that's an 8 o'clock start in Houston, which means a 9 o'clock start for you and I.
That's correct.
To watch this game tonight, which, again, I used to make fun of this all the time back in the day when I was in my 20s starting out doing this show. Oh, you old people can't make it. Come on, stand up, stay up. It's a great game. I apologize. The young me didn't know what the hell he was talking about because you guys have lives and you get up at 6 and you got kids. You got to get to school and it is crazy. Now, I did look it up though because I was curious. I thought, why in Houston are they playing an 8:09 or 8:07 tip? And it's the same reason they do what they do out in Los Angeles. Like, if you ever watch the start of a Dodgers game, there's nobody there. And by the 5th inning, it's pretty well packed. Just, it's LA traffic is crazy. Just people can't get off of work and get to the game at Chavez Ravine in time. They missed the first couple innings. And of course, that is a place in LA where, depending on the day, if you don't get out early from work, you can be stuck in traffic and it could take you 2 hours to go 2 miles. And so people, they show up late to games. That's what happens. Apparently, Houston's situation is such a cluster. Where that stadium is located, where that arena is located, is such a mess to get to, and the overpopulation and the traffic is so bad, they can't start it any earlier than 8 because people won't be there. They just won't be there, which, again, means for you and I tonight, 9-something o'clock when they tip this game off. I mean, damn.
Well, that city has legendary traffic that puts Atlanta to shame, so the locals say. It's one big concrete slab of a city, too. There's a lot of heat and a lot of anger at all times.
Man.
But also, I mean, this is where I don't get angry. It is the Western Conference Finals, and Golden State's home market probably needs a chance to get home, too, to be able to watch the game. And so for them, the game starts a little bit after 6 o'clock. They're doing us a bit of a solid there. That's an early tip for the Golden State Warriors fans. So I get that one. If it's an East Coast game, you started at 9, go to hell. But, I mean, you're trying to serve the market that is participating in the series, too, and that's in California.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I think certainly if you're the league, you're trying to service the most amount of people with eyes on sets and get the most bang for your buck, and a 9 whatever tip ain't going to do that. But I understand what you're talking about, at least with the two markets and the two teams and what conference they're in.
It doesn't serve kids, but as Olbermann said years ago when he worked on the Fox Sports World Series coverage and he was anchoring the desk, the numbers, they don't lie. The later you go into the night on the East Coast, the higher the numbers go. So, I mean, they're serving. It's short-sighted. It's not for kids. But
yeah, you don't build your product over the years that way.
Right. But it does get eyeballs on sets in the East Coast the later you go.
I will be curious to see if this game goes to overtime or something like that, how many eyeballs are still on sets on a work night. And once again, the NBA does this weird thing where we get a game tonight, we get a game tomorrow, I believe we get a game Wednesday, and then we don't get another game until Sunday?
That could be correct.
I think I saw that, or is it Saturday? It might be Saturday. Still, no games on Thursday and a Friday? What are we doing? I just have no – I mean, obviously, I'm not in those boardrooms. I don't know. I'd have to look at this. It just doesn't stand to reason to me that it's a good idea not to have a single playoff game on a Thursday or Friday.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Some of it's bad luck.
Well, I would think that, if we were doing this fair, and you were thinking about maybe kids too, you would put the Cleveland-Boston series around a 6 or 7 o'clock tip so that everybody has a chance. Basketball doesn't take 4 hours. It takes 2.5 hours. If you go to overtime, you might push it to 3. But, I mean, if it starts by 7, all right, you can let a kid stay up.
Yeah.
And they don't. For the West Coast, I get it, though. I mean, the kids that are the Golden State fans are going to be watching this game at 6 o'clock.
It services them well.
And the adults who want to get home could get home. But if you started at 7 o'clock this way, I mean, then somebody's got to leave work early, and that's their team. That doesn't seem wholly fair either.
No, that's the downside, I suppose, to certainly being a sports fan in California. It can happen where you get absolutely screwed. Most things are catered to the East Coast because the largest market being New York City, and that is the way it typically works, along with Boston. But I mean, a 9-something o'clock tip in the East is hard. It's just difficult. I mean, I'm going to watch it. I've been waiting for this series for a long time. I'm really excited about it. I think Houston's the only team that has a chance to knock off Golden State. We've thought that from the beginning. I don't think they will, but I think they got a legitimate chance. Obviously, we kind of talked about, it's interesting. Last week, the last show we did together, I said, look, I really think Boston's going to give Cleveland some problems. I think Boston's going to give Cleveland a series, partly because I think the coaching matchup is one-sided. If I'm a Cleveland fan, it bothers me that every time Cleveland plays in a game one after they've come off a previous series, they don't show up ever, and they get their doors blown off. The one exception is Toronto choking away a 20-point lead to watch Cleveland come back and win in overtime. Otherwise, Indiana, Toronto in that game, that's a miracle comeback, and then Boston, they just get the hell beat out of them like they haven't even been practicing. And I think that Boston being as good as they are on defense, as well coached as they are, they're going to make that a series. I thought they would. I took Boston yesterday, and I take them on the over 6 games. Now, granted, that's a degenerative gambling angle. It is, but it's also kind of telling just of the series in general. Boston will defend. They're going to defend.
Well, and they said it that, Toronto allowed itself to get bullied too physically, and they're not going to do that.
No.
I mean, the Toronto series is a bit of an illusion. We talked about that too last week. It is a sweep, but Toronto found a way to lose 2 of those basketball games. So they worked for it to be a sweep, and this is a Cleveland team that went the distance with the Pacers. So absolutely, this can be a series if LeBron isn't Herculean. But the question was, coming into the series, is he going on some sort of run that's insane? And at least for one night, the answer was no. We'll see what he comes back with. But you're right. As far as the IQs and the coaching battle goes, it's LeBron versus Stevens.
That's exactly what it is. And I think he's right when he says afterwards, look, I see what they did tonight. If you look at my track record, I adjust to how people defend me. They got me tonight. They did a good job with that, which they did. They're running waves of people at him. The other problem is that's LeBron's worst plus-minus performance of the season was yesterday. And that's partly because the guy that was doing such a good job of defending him was also scoring on the other end, which really can't happen if Cleveland is going to be able to win the series. I know it sounds strange for me to talk like that, like I'm talking like Boston's the favorite. This next game's kind of important for Cleveland. I mean, I think we could be looking at the ultimate of surprises here. Can you imagine what Brad Stevens could write, whatever? He could just hand Danny Ainge a check and say, listen, I'd like this filled out for name your dollar amount. If they go to the finals, that team, as currently comprised, goes to the finals. Man, I can't imagine the ticket. I can't imagine what he could ask for at that point. A, it's damning to the East, but B, good Lord, get ready for Boston to rule the roost for a long time. Them in Philadelphia, that's going to be a war.
I'm just so happy for the fans of Boston. You know, they haven't had good things happen to them in some time. So, you know, that city has just been aching for something good to happen
Anything, to it. Tom. Anything. They've never had anything. By the way, Boston offensively, I looked this up, 60 points in the paint. That's just open for business,
yeah,
I'd say.
that's kind of like the old 500 rushing yards, isn't it?
I mean, yeah, you're like, you guys going to defend anybody here? You know, just allow people do whatever they feel like doing here today? Is that how that's going to work? Layups all day long?
By all means.
60 points in the paint. Meanwhile, our guys, damn it, man. I'll have to get your opinion again on that after we play Game 3.
Yes. If
I'm
you're talking
excited
hockey, yes.
Promote your podcast. People should hear it. I'm excited to hear it. I'm excited to hear I want to hear what in the world we're going to be hearing about this team just getting brutalized.
Promote my podcast for the Bad News Show.
No. I'm seriously excited. This is when people tune in when things are going great or terrible, not in between. And right now, they've been bullied. They've been outskated. Washington forechecking has kept us speed off the ice. It's been embarrassing.
Yeah, it's been embarrassing, and there's a lot to talk about. And we'll do it tomorrow on the Joe Bolts Fan podcast, joebucksfan.com. It'll be available by about lunchtime.
First thing in the morning.
No, lunch. They don't post it. See, I send it to them between 9 or 10, and then they say it'll be up.
I'm listening right when I get up. I'm telling Joe Bucks fan today to get off his ass. I want to hear this thing, and I'm not kidding.
Well, the studio will be open without headlines, so I suppose I can come in.
I'll come in here and just listen to it.
Oh, great.
I'll sit off in the corner.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about. This may be a one-segment job. You know, you don't need a break here. It's about 20 minutes of just going through everything that went wrong. So if you're into hockey or you want to hear it the way I see it, then that's tomorrow. It'll be available by lunchtime. Typically, it's Fridays, but they want 2 a week now, and it may be for only 1 week, as the series could be over by Friday.
Well, as an aside, and we talked about it earlier in the show, I do think the psychology of Game 3 is fun because, you know, as I was saying to you earlier, you got to be careful as a coach. This works for any team in any sport where there's a 7-game series. If you begin the series up 2-0, and I'll grant you they've come into Tampa and won those 2 games. It's a little bit different than winning your first 2 games at home. Do you go for the jugular? Do you put it all in Game 3? Do you say to your team, if we win Game 3, the series is over? Because it is. So the idea being, lay it all on the ice when you go home and win Game 3, and you are going to the Stanley Cup Finals. Or is there a danger in doing that? Because if you lose that game and you've put everything in it, you have now let the other team emotionally, as well as physically, obviously, back into a series that they're still trailing 2-1.
No, I think Washington's best friend here is that this game is 2 days after. There's not a longer layoff to think about it. And they're playing with more energy than Tampa is right now.
Across the board.
I don't think you need to change anything. I think it's a complete stay-the-course message. Now, if it were they stole a game and then they won an overtime game that was 50-50, and you know that Tampa's coming, maybe. But you've been the better team for 2 games.
No,
so I don't think you need to make a special speech or anything before Game 3.
Christ, if you're Washington, stay out of the box and you're going to boat race Tampa at this point. Here we go. Probables. Make it happen, baby.
It's time for how you say, with the pitching probables?
Rays Royals, Ryan Yarbrough. Eric Skoglund. Nobody's watching that game. Not likely. Indians Tigers, we got Carlos Carrasco, Mike Fiers. A's Red Sox, Sean Manaea, Rick Porcello. Mariners Twins, Wade LeBlanc, Jake Odorizzi. Brewers D-backs, Junior Guerrera, Patrick Corbin. Astros, Angels, Lance McCullers, Andrew Haney. We got Rockies, Padres, Tyler Anderson, Joey Lucchesi. Reds, Giants, Sal Romano. I can do it again. Chris Stratton, and that is a look at those that shall reside in the bump. That's it. That's all.
That golden sand.
What a great day. What a great day for responsible adults to have the Supreme Court take a look at the Professional Amateur Sports Protection Act of 1992, also known as PASPA, and say, blow that thing up. What the hell is wrong with us? Blow it up. 6 of the 9 justices signed on to the majority decision in full. A 7th joined most but not all of the decision. The takeaway is this. Congress can regulate sports gambling directly, but if it elects not to do so, each state is then free to act on its own. So, Katie, bar the door, baby, because that's a gold pot right there that everybody's going to want to put their hand in. And as they noted, our job is to interpret the law Congress has enacted and decide whether or not it's constitutional. We decided that it is not constitutional, and states can do as they wish, and they are free to do so starting now. And here's what that means, to reiterate. New Jersey's good to go, because they are the ones who are most responsible right now for all this goodness that's happening today for those that want to allow responsible adults to do what they will with their money. And they are going to start immediately. The Monmouth Park people, William Hill Sportsbook, they've been operating for a long time, basically as a bar, going, we've got people here. We're ready to take bets. We'd like to take some bets. And if you are involved with that group and you've invested in that group, you're about to be a billionaire, because they've got stuff all over the country waiting. Imagine you had the money just to wait, knowing this was coming. Like, this is going to happen.
Even as a minority stakeholder, you're going to do pretty good for yourself.
The CEO is William Hill, and he has more than 100 locations across the country ready to take your bet tomorrow. What a day.
And a lot of people ready to break your thumbs.
Can you imagine what that day was like this morning when the news came down? Like, that guy right now, his life just changed. He's a billionaire.
Yes, less the cost for the legal fees and whatever he had to do to line somebody's pockets, perhaps, at a high level.
MGM Grand Resorts, they operate the Borgata Hotel and Casino in Atlantic City. They'll be in a position to make a move immediately.
Oh, yeah. That's easy.
Delaware, it will be ready to go in short order from what I read now. They've already had the lottery. They've been ready to go for a long time now. It looks like California, of course. West Virginia, by the way, already has passed legislation. So here's where it gets interesting, is in the states where legislation has begun, but it was put to a screeching halt. So I read where 32 states have put together, they've tried to pass legislation. There are 20 of 22 state legislators now currently working on advancing pro-gambling bills. The fight in Florida is going to be fascinating.
It will be, and there's a lot of layers to that fight, and there's a lot of lobbying to go on. A lot of lawyers and lobbyists are happy today, of course. And as we said earlier, the number one thing I'm going to keep my eye on as we are covering Florida State, I should say, not coverers of Florida State. The murky reports out of West Virginia that they're going to pay the sports leagues. You know, this is the next fight. It's about the sports leagues who they want their cut for integrity fees, because they're going to have to create protocols to make sure there's no funny business from an athlete or from a referee and all that kind of crap. But the fact that West Virginia, according to some, again, murky reports, is paying off West Virginia and Marshall for being in big-time collegiate athletics. What percentage of the cut does the NCAA, the Atlantic Coast Conference, or Florida State get, if indeed that's going to become standard practice?
Yeah, divvying up the pot is the most difficult aspect here. Lots of people with different angles fighting for different ways to collect and different interests, to say the least. Yes, that's a very fascinating thing. In fact, if you'd like to delve into something like that, there are any number of books that have been written about what's going to take place now that the states are free to decide for themselves regarding illegal gambling. Look, this is something the American people voted on, though. 55% believe that all states should be free to do what they will with in terms of responsible gambling, sanctioned gambling.
States' rights, my brother.
Yeah, well, that's what the Supreme Court said today. Basically, is you can do what you want to do. Whatever you guys decide is what you guys decide with sports gambling. Listen, man, I don't need the government telling you or me or anybody else what I can do with my money. If I want to bet it on a horse, I'll bet it on a horse. If I want to throw it to the freaking wind, I'll throw it to the freaking wind. Get the hell out of my pocketbook, man. So we've been waiting for this for a long time, and woo! Florida, you know Florida, Will. We're such a seedy state. Come on.
I would think so, but there are some specific areas of this state that may not be public land that will lobby against that, unless they can be used or they can become integral in the process.
Get paid.
We'll see. A lot of lobbying, man. Lobbyists just got a lot richer if they weren't rich enough.
Good work out of you, sir. Good work, Matthew. You guys have a great night. Enjoy your evening. I know you'll be tired tomorrow. I'll be tired tomorrow, too. We'll be watching the basketball. You got to hope Houston wins tonight. If they don't, it's not a series. If Golden State wins tonight and takes back home court in Game 1, well, what are we doing here? So tonight's a big night for Houston. I just want to see a 7-game series. I want to see something good, you know?
They in the East.
I think you might in the East. I think that's true. Be well. Have a good night, everybody. Talk to you tomorrow.